The end of October in Indiana. The end of October in Indiana. Cool temperatures, wet weather, and Halloween. GNCC Racing Nation finds itself in a scary spot, the home of Godzilla, and a nightmare of a hill known as Ironman. The likes of Russell and Duvall are gone, diminished to nightmares amongst the front line of GNCC Racing, and ghosts to the scores of fans lining the first turn. In a fall classic in Crawfordsville, Indiana, it's Ironman. A series of stranger things has sidelined the top two riders in this week's XC1 Open class. Baylor, Bollinger, Strang will do their best to tame the monster track that is Ironman Raceway. But they don't have to dress up as winners this year for Halloween because they've been here before. Who will capture the momentum heading into the offseason? Happy Halloween, race fans, because RacerTV is going to answer that next. Settle in and keep both eyes open. Round 13 is live from Ironman Raceway.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Welcome to the AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series. Well, here we are, the season finale at beautiful Ironman Raceway. We think back a couple weeks ago, it was Thad Duvall taking center of the box with another win. The big story, though, was Caleb Russell wrapping up that 6th national championship. And then rounding out the box in the overall was Ben Kelly. This weekend, here at Ironman to conclude the season, no Thad Duvall, no Caleb Russell. Does this open up the door for Ben Kelly from the XC2 to perhaps take an overall with the adjusted time from row number 2? We'll have to wait and see, but I can guarantee you this. There's going to be a lot of guys in the XC1 today who are going to have something to say about it. Stu Baylor, Grant Baylor, Trevor Bollinger, Ricky Russell, the whole XC1 class is going to be chomping at the bit for their first win of the season. And then, of course, in the XC2, you've got to throw Josh Toth's name in there as well. He's been battling all season long with Ben Kelly. We expect to see some more of that here today. And a couple weeks back, it was Craig DeLong rounding out the box in the XC2. And, of course, we can't forget about the FMF XC3. Jesse Ansley has wrapped up the championship a round ago at Powerline Park. But here today, he's going to be battling with the rest of the XC3 class. We've seen a lot of drama in there between Jesse Ansley and Alex Teagarden. Well, the stage is set here, but before we get this thing started, let's go down to Jared Bolton with a track description.
Thanks, guys. Whenever you watch professional motocross and supercross racing on TV, they always tell you that one of the keys to the race is the start. In GNCC racing, it's still important to get a really good start, but it's not quite as essential as it is in a motocross race. You got a lot more time to make it up, especially on a great big long Ironman course like this one we've got this weekend. There's a reason this race is so popular with so many people. This is an awesome race course. There truly is a little bit of something for everyone out there. There's these super fast cornfield sections, there's fast woods, there's tight woods, there's bike only sections, there's quad only sections, and of course you got tons and tons of hills. It's really unique. You come out to Indiana, you ride around, everything's flat till you get out on the Ironman course, and there's hills all over the place. You go up them, you go down them, you go across them, and the dirt in between all of that is the best dirt you get all season. Speaking of those hills, we're going to send it down to Alicia McCormick, who's on the most famous hill of all at Ironman Hill.
Thanks, Bolton. I'm here at Ironman Hill, one of the steepest, most prestigious hills that we have on the circuit. I mean, this is Ironman right here. This is what people come for. And it's been raining all day. The ground's slick, the rocks are slick, the roots are slick, and you'll see there's a rock ledge that you got to make it over. There's about 5 different lines here. It's a heck of a hill climb. Quite the sight to see. This is really the reason people come to Ironman. This year, we're going to change it up a little bit. Just for the safety of the fans, we have Griff Cotter here to talk to us about a fence barrier. Thanks, Griff.
Thanks, Alicia. Yeah, so you can see this is why people come to Ironman. And
It's the danger that people seek, and with that, we've got to be concerned with safety, not only for the riders, but for the fans as well. We've kind of put up some fence for crowd control. There's going to be people all over here anyway, but there's going to be some police officers down here, some GNCC staff. So we asked that hopefully they'll cooperate with us, and we're going to do our best. And with this wet weather we're having, it's going to up the safety factor even more. So we need to be extra careful this year. And you know, like every year, it's gonna vote for some excellent racing. So that's all we have for you down here from Ironman Hill. Back to you, Mikey.
Thanks, Griff Cotter, and you're absolutely right. Safety, the utmost importance here at the GNCC Racing Series. All right, you've heard from me. You've heard from Jared Bolton. Alicia McCormick gave us the rundown of Ironman Hill. Now let's take it to the start line with Rodney Tomlin.
Thank you, Mikey. And down here on the starting line, we have the stage set for a great race day. And as we mentioned, we got two of our key players out today, and Caleb Russell and Thad Ball, and the game is wide open as far as the overall win is concerned. And a lot of people are going to be looking at on row number 2 as he has led actually the biggest part of the last 2 races from row number 2 of the XC2 Pro class. Ben Kelly, I tell you what, man, it's a big day. A lot of things are going your way as far as the end of the season is concerned. This is the final round of the year. What have you got in store for the folks out there today?
It's final race of the year, and you know, just gonna go out there and try to get a good start, and really focus on the XC2 class and try to get the win there and bring home the championship. And yeah, if I do that, I think I'll be running good in the overall standing. So just hopefully to have a strong final race of the season.
Russell! Rolling to the line next, 7th in points, aboard the number 314 from Belton, South Carolina on a Teely Energy Racing KTM. The number 17 from Forked River, New Jersey, on a solid performance KTM backed by Fly Racing, Jesse Grom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. As the machines begin to gather on the starting line one final time here today, and our pros find their starting positions on this front row, the stage is set for greatness for someone here today, and a great way to end the season with that ever-important explanation point. As we pointed out, the top two guns in Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell are out this weekend, and that leaves that top step kind of wide open. But we are anticipating and expecting a major heated battle between Stu Baylor and, of course, Trevor Bollinger as they're battling for that third place overall position in the championship. But one rider we cannot count out, of course, is the 114 of Josh Strang. I'm sure he's going to be gunning for a win today as well. And if we look back on row 2, as we talked to the 530 of Ben Kelly prior to announcing these riders in the XC1 Pro class, that rider has been in the thick of things on time adjustment for the past 2 rounds of racing, and more than once throughout the course of this season. But last race, he led about half of the overall throughout most of that race. So with that being said, a lot of folks are expecting him to be on point again here today. Will that be the case? I guess we'll find out, like we said, in about 3 hours as Ricky Towery now makes his way down. He instructs these riders that there is 1 minute left to go here before this final round of GNCC racing gets underway here in Crawfordsville, Indiana. So Ricky goes to find himself his place there in that first turn region. As he does that, he begins the protocol, and of course the sequence that begins to make the hearts pound down here on the starting line. The final checks to make sure everything is go. All systems are go. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are now less than 30 seconds away from going racing here in Crawfordsville. And I'm going to ask you, Indiana race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Pretty good, but I got to tell you, they rocked it yesterday for the ATVs. Let's get these guys excited. We've got some great battles about to take place for us. So I'm going to ask you one more time, Indiana, are you ready to go Ironman GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling here at the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. $250 up for grabs as they round the first turn. Who's it gonna be? It's the 264 of Ryan Sipes. And Sipes is the unknown variable here today. He could be the one to stop as he takes off fast out front and starts to stretch it out. The XC2 250 Pro up next with Craig DeLong, Jack Edmondson, welcome back, buddy. Levi Keller, Austin Lee, Liam Draper, Josh Todt, Brendan Riordan, Mike Witkowski, Alex Teagarden, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Bradley Cox, Benjamin Kelly, Zach Bailey, Mason Atherton, Hunter Neuwirth, Braxton McGee, and Jonathan Johnson ready to roll in 10 seconds. And another whole shot award up for grabs. $100 for these XC2 riders, and it's the number 1. The number 1 of Josh Todt taking the early lead in this one now. And that's a battle for the championship as well in the XC2 Pro class. FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class coming up. Jesse Ansley, Cody Barnes, Chris Bach, Tony Archer, Kenny Day, Colt Kensler, Luke Rensland, Daniel Mundy, Matt Harrington, Matthew Sims, Logan Lowry, Nicholas Hunt, Travis Sewell, Zach Nolan, Hunter Shelton, and Jake Broman in 10 seconds. These 125s are off and rolling. One of the biggest races of 125s we've had in quite a while. 16 riders vying for competition out here. Welcoming back Chris Bach as well. And that 403, might have been 423 of Matthew Sims. That's unofficial there. we go to the Open A class now. Connor Smith, Eric Douglas, Ben Parsons, Zach Tussle, Anthony Tabani, Riley Genero, Carl Kirchhoff, Austin Progreba, Eric Geis, Vincent Smith, Colt Converse, Landon Lynn. Also looking at Cameron Ishmael, Tanner Whipple, Matthew McDonald, Hunter McDaniel. 10 seconds. Sean Horn, Cope Becker, Dylan Ely, Bryce Coster, Matt Tavani, and Nick O'Brien. And here come the Open A, rounding the first turn, making that mad dash for turn 2. It's 3:55. Or was it the 35? Might have been the 36, actually, Connor Smith. Jacking those numbers around a little bit on me today. 258 class coming up next. We got Coda DeVore, Blaine Kimmery, Matthew Davis, Owen Geis, Nathan Rector, Brewer Cawley, JoJo Bowden, Sam Shaver, Lance Machino, Trevor Getz, Noah Clark, Jeremy Lanthier, Chad Bedard. 10 seconds. Ryder LeBlanc, Keith Ginley, Brock Grariff, Josh Farrell, Paul Petron, Jeff Lance, Simon Johnson, Steve Nicholas, Alex Tweeton, and Justin Medez. We'll try to sort this one out for you and get our early leader in this one, and it's going to be the 59 grabbing the hole shot with a 4.44 of JoJo Bowden on the inside and taking the early lead. The 59 to Dakota DeVore was side by side with him. 4-stroke A lights, Johnny Manera, Michael DeLosa, Justin Murphy, Eli Childers, Christopher McManus, Benjamin Wright, Mitchell Owenby, Brody Johnson, Russell Smith, Bolton DeRoth, Brendan Poling, Adam Parker, Jacob Chrisman. 10 seconds. Tanner Cowart, Nathan Davis, Preston Wheeler, Brian Schulman, Gatlin Welburn, Luke Chillman, Tristan Landerman, Braden Moore. Rounding that turn for the 4-stroke A lights, it's a host of riders into 3:57, actually 56, of Johnny Manera from Millville, New Jersey on the Solid Performance KTM Factory Connection Pro Taperback machine, grabbing the early lead in this one. Going to the 208 class, Joe Marsh, Sean Meyer, Zachary Davidson, Michael Beeler, Dylan Zimple, Chase Coble, Riley Johnson, Colton Barlow, Travis Reynaud, and Logan Kiddick in 10 seconds. Zachary Davidson off the line like a shot in the 199 machine. Davidson brought to us by Husqvarna USA, Dunlop Fly, and Chad Davis Racing going to grab the early lead. Senior 840 plus, Shotgun Sean Remington, Christian Broombaugh, Frank Tussle, Jamie McDaniel, Tom Lebo, Mark Harshman, Jeff Houston, Brian Patterson, John Beaver, Rick Burton, Paul Guy, Sean O'Leary, Frank Messina, and Kenneth O'Connor. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. Mark Harshman, he's got the number 18 on his bike, 447 is what he's wearing, GNCC number. He's from Swayze, Indiana on a Spikes KTM backed by Throttle Jockey and MSR. Thank you, Moto Mike. Junior AB 25 plus class, Andrew Boggs, Lane Hosler, Devin Burks, Dustin Ulrich, Ted Mullins, Bailey Parker, Pete Nickel, Logan Dinsmore, Joseph McCarty. 10 seconds. Tyler Ruckenshell, Taylor Mays, Bradley Kammer, Dylan Nerald, Greg Childers, Ryan Grokel, Nick Mellinger, Josh Keys, Brady Stefanik, and Jesse Kildo. See if we can get a number on this rider. Woohoo, we got a host of numbers to try to choose from. 905 there on the machine. I couldn't quite make out the helmet number. So we go to the Vet A 30 plus class. Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Louis O'Leon, Jeff O'Leary, Luenzo Sanchez, Brian Johnson, Gallardos Melo, Matthew Van Dyke, Isaac Backel, Mike Tominick, Justin Childers, also Shane Sewell, Nathan Allring, Brandon Forrester, Andrew Matusik, Bill Zavindi, Sean Cover, and Michael Heitgartner. 10 seconds. 2:51, grabbing that early lead out there. As we go to 200B class, we got Josh Snyder, Trevor Maley, Jacob Harmon, Tanner Kirkman, Tanner Collins, Max Rust, Nate Miser, Brayton Claycomb, and Patrick Murray ready to roll next here, the 200B class, in a matter of only 10 seconds. Rounding that first turn, the 7.7 on the machine, but 7.77, or actually 2.77. Trevor Maley from North Canton, Ohio. And the Vet B30 Plus class coming up next with Grant Flewelling, Miquez Gomez, Jeremy Stawobi, George Graham, Lance Steinberg, Dustin Arnott, Devinson Goulart. Also, Aaron Lance, Gary Massang, Eric Ledford, Joseph Bibler, Parker Fowler, Jimmy Pruder, Joe Barr, Corey Day, David Murray, Brian Rico, Justin Miller, Clayton Rico, William DeSico, Sean Nicholson, Cody Fox, Stacy Phillips, David Phelps, Charles Becker, Matthew Elements, Travis Graff, Wisely Roberto, Matt Moda, Ben Conaway, Quentin Newton, and Josiel Ramos, I believe. Butchered that, but anyway, Open B class coming up next. We got 33 in this one. Matt Sorge, Mario Tonchek, Peyton Harden, Aiden Burke, Kyle Johnson, Jimmy Winterbottom, Clay Harden, Matthew Allender. 10 seconds. Rob Heckner, Garrett Wagner, Hunter Hall, Caleb Ray, Jared Pauley, Dylan Sandifer, Nick Miller, Derek Bradshaw, Zachary Query, Zachary Sarek, Jake Stinnett, Noah Smet, Evan Young, Luke Birkenoff, Gage Moore, Nathan Sheets, Jacob Barnes, Zach Brown, Joshua Webb, Logan McNeil, Dawson Zimmer, Alex Kyle, James Melton, Jonathan Cook, Corey Burton, Jace Mason, Hayden Woodruff, Ryder Stanley, Emilio Banderas, Drew Norris, and Sam Peak. That's Balderas. Sorry about that. And our next row, senior 40 plus B, Mark Proper, Leon Whitaker, Devin Ferguson, Tillman McDaniel, Kyle Ulpe, Daniel Dakota, David Stutzman, Adam Miller, Pete Emmy, John Stutzman. 10 seconds. Jason Stickley, Tony Weisenhahn, Dan Price, Gene Swida, Darren Darmos, and Scott Matheny. And 2:11 on the machine. I think that was 461. Jason Stickley out of McDonald, Pennsylvania. Lenovo Racing, Numbers Brewing, Stickley hauling back machine. And up next will be the 4-stroke B Lights. Cody Carrier, Jeremy Custer, Hunter Hargis, Austin Broom, Cody Reese, Tyler Daniels, Spencer Perro. 10 seconds. Chandler Hill, Zach Veeder, Zach Maley, TJ Fine, Jake Giesler, and Mac Reimer. Mac Reimer might be able to pull this one out. Oh, it's going to be tight. Reimer does. He gets the lead out of turn 2. 7:15 machine as we go to our final start, the 250B. Talk about Kyle Prisma, Hayden Hoppen, Philip Daganese, Landon Ray, Tom Petrola. 10 seconds. Dwight Douglas, Ronald White, Joshua Barber, Nathan Courtney, Tyler Gentry, Caleb Reedy, Ian Flynn, Sam Hall, Randy Smith, Brandon Walker, Jack McMakin, Alec Hesling, Cole Garrity, Robert Whitlock, Cole Whitmer, Trevor Townsend, Zachary Sanders, Jared Messer, and Andrew Haining. All rounding the first turn, and it's the 5:18 of Cole Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania. He's on an Ampro Yamaha, backed by Answer Racing and Waynesburg Yamaha. And my friends, that is it. That'll do it for the start here for this afternoon. A scheduled near 3-hour season finale about to get, well, is now underway, I guess we could say. Our top 2 dogs are out. The champion is crowned. Second place is decided, both injured or getting surgery and recovering from surgery. So that's what we're looking at in that department. So that leaves the field wide open. This is going to be a great race. They stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young, and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now. Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I am Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague Rodney Tomlin down there on the start line with that iconic 10-second call. Hard to beat that right there. We'll also be joined in the booth by the one, the only, Johnny G himself, Johnny Gallagher. Get the rider's perspective on today's 3-hour pro bike race here at beautiful GNCC Ironman Raceway here in Crawfordsville, Indiana. And, well, if you're not here at the track, you don't quite know, but boy, it's been a windy one, a chilly one. Sun keeps teasing us, trying to come out and warm us up, but it's cold. It's absolutely cold, but doesn't matter. We're here for the season finale of Ironman. All right, so again, we're taking a look at the track map right now. We've got about what I believe 14-mile course, 14.5-mile course, and you can see it's got a little bit of everything. Of course, Jimmy Hill, Ironman Hill, the iconic Ironman Hill, of course, Twin Hills. And if you didn't hear in the riders meeting before, the detour that they were making the B riders do, that only applied on the ATV side of things. So all the riders going to have the opportunity to go up Ironman Hill here this afternoon. And again, the highlighted white spots out there, those are our camera shots, and the black boxes indicate to you guys at home where we have the drone shots. However, we've had some serious winds out here. As a matter of fact, the National Weather Service issued a wind advisory, so hopefully we're able to get the drone up and running for you guys. But yeah, weather's not playing along very nicely with that, so we'll see what happens. But certainly an excellent track for us here today at Ironman Raceway. Well, as we came into today's race, we wanted to take a look at the point standings. The XC1 championship has been decided. Caleb Russell capturing his 6th national championship here at the GNCC just a couple weeks ago. Thad Duvall locked in that number 2 spot. Noted, neither of those riders going to be here today. Caleb Russell having the surgery, and Thad Duvall breaking his wrist in a couple spots there, so he is not here either. Trevor Bollinger, though, in the number 3 spot in the point standings. We'll see if he can add to that today, perhaps take his first XC1 win, maybe. Stu Baylor's going to have something to say about that, your 4th rider out there. Josh Strang has had some solid races here toward the end of the season, and new dad, noted. Ricky Russell in the number 6 spot in the point standings out of that XC1. The other Baylor brother there, Grant Baylor, has had some solid coming off a podium finish here just a round ago. And, of course, the 523 of Lane Michael, Jordan Ashburn, and Corey Buttrick rounding out your top 10 in the XC1. This is the one. This is the big one. It has not been decided yet. 298 points to Ben Kelly, 275 to Josh Toth. These guys have been mirroring each other all season long, have put up some incredible performances, and Ben Kelly coming off a top 3 podium finish. Can he perhaps pick up a win here today from row number 2? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm sure what's on his mind is just capturing that championship, and that's what's on the mind of Josh Toth as well. Craig DeLong in the number 3 spot. He's coming off a 3rd place. Pascal Rockenecker in the number 4 position. Austin Lee, the 1-2-3 in his home state. We'll see if that plays into some magic for him here today. Evan Smith in the number 6 position. Jonathan Johnson, 7th. Liam Draper back in the number 8 spot. Mike Witkowski, another Indiana guy out there. He's in the number 9 spot in the point standings, and Zach Hayes rounding out your top 10 there. So still a lot to be decided, not just championships, but where that national number is going to be for them moving here into the next season. As we take... It looked like, who did we have at 1st and 2nd? That looked like I caught Stu right there at the end. Bollinger, Ricky Russell, Stu, Strang. Can't quite tell. But there goes Sipes. Well, Sipes, duly noted on that. Sipes coming through right there. He had the whole shot. Welcome back, Ryan Sipes. That guy's just been, you know what, a little bit of everywhere through this last year. He's done his Ryan Sipes thing. There is Ben Kelly right there leading the XC2. And that was Josh Toth right behind him. That might have been less than a minute. Was that? It's still too early to tell. Obviously, they've not come through the finish line yet. But Ben Kelly and Josh Toth already hard on the charge, getting up into the mix. Not quite in the mix, but boy, they're chomping at the bit at the heels of those XC1 guys who are out front. Hopefully you guys saw Stu Baylor's outfit. Did you see that? Hopefully you did. If not, check out social media. He came out dressed as maybe a dragon or Godzilla or both. There we go. I believe that was that Craig DeLong out in front there. So getting more of the XC2 guys coming through now. And did we have a chance to, I don't know if we looked at the XC3 as these guys are rolling through. Jesse Ansley did wrap that championship up in the XC3. And T. Garden battling him. Those guys gone back and forth all season. Should see some good racing out of those guys as well. As more of our XC2 riders going to be checking in here in a moment. And the XC3 guys will be checking in shortly after that. Guys working through there. Austin Lee checking in right there. Well, not checking in, rolling through. How about that? The 1, 2, 3 Mohawk Militia right there. The signature of Austin Lee, that red Mohawk, man. Can't miss the guy. Not to mention the 1, 2, 3's just got a great ring to it. Constantly talking. Good to see you. So as they roll through here, some more of our XC2 riders coming through right here. Everybody, and by the way, if you're looking at the number plates, most of these guys are running the same number plates, but GNCC did kind of pull back the, I guess, requirements on the number plates there, letting the riders run the pink backgrounds, so that's kind of cool. Makes it a little difficult for us, but that's all right. It's all about the Breast Cancer Awareness Month here at Ironman, the pink race, if you will. The last time I heard, I think they had raised over $7,000 to donate to a local charity here in Crawfordsville and Montgomery County. I believe that was Jesse Ansley in the lead right there, and there's T. Garden right behind him. One of the things I was just talking about, those guys duking it out, battling in the XC3, and you saw that right there on screen. Couldn't have been a couple of seconds separating those two riders in the XC3. But again, Ironman Raceway, been coming here for a number of years. And what a historic race it's been. This morning we had right at 900 riders in the AM race. That doesn't even count the youth race or this afternoon's race as well, the pro bike race. A little bit of a delay. Mother Nature, again, not always playing nice out here, but it's Ironman, man. That's to be expected, right? So now we get into some more, some of our A riders coming through now. We'll get a clock on these guys, see what the gap is. It was interesting, though, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth already working up into getting right behind those XC1 guys early. We'll see if that plays out here as they come in through the finish. We'll get an idea of whether or not with the time adjustment that's going to put them up into the front. But again, no Caleb Russell here today, no Thad Duvall. Again, Caleb wrapped up the overall championship, 6th GNCC championship, and Thad Duvall posted on social media, holding a new baby, by the way. Big congratulations, Thad, if you're out there watching, or maybe you're just enjoying fatherhood today. Congratulations to Thad and Maggie Duvall on the birth of their kid, and it was pretty cool to see. But yeah, Thad posted up the picture, had the cast on the hand, said he broke his wrist in a couple places, and that was going to do it for the season for him. Some more of our A riders coming through right here, and again, I want to welcome you guys out to beautiful Ironman Raceway for what is the season finale. This 2018 AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series. It's been a wild one. We've crowned 2 national champions already, one in the XC1, and the overall, that being Caleb Russell. The FMF XC3 has been decided with Jesse Ansley taking the championship there, but yet to be determined is the Pro-Am, the XC2 right there. Is I believe this is Trevor Bollinger moving through. So now we'll be able to get an idea of where these guys are at on the track as they check in to the finish here in just a little bit. We'll be able to get an idea of how spread out these guys are. How about that gap he's pulling right there? Pretty good little lead for him. We only saw him turn his head once. I guess it's not as big. It's still pretty solid, though, as they're going to come into the finish line, and we're going to get an idea of where these guys are at. So everybody kind of riding their own race right now. All right, and of course, my scoring computer doesn't want to show me how the gaps are. So we'll get that figured out in just a second. I may have to restart it. Let's cancel. Well, regardless, seeing them coming through here. Want to see that XC2. I may just pull it up on my phone. We'll look at live scoring on the phone. How's that? Let's do that. All right, now we're getting somewhere. So as we look out over the finish line here, as these guys come into the motocross section, and what better place, you know, the guy they always say you don't want behind you is Ryan Sipes. Ryan Sipes out here racing with us. It was a great start to the race for him, snagging that whole shot right off the start. As they work up into the motocross section here, we're going to be getting the XC2 guys. There you go. All right, how about it? Finally, I can see my scoring. Ben Kelly is your overall leader on the time adjustment. Josh Toth in the number 2 spot. Trevor Bollinger, who's got a pretty decent lead in the XC1. It's 3.257 seconds over the 212 Yamaha of Ricky Russell. That puts Ricky down in the number 4 spot and the overall second in the XC1. It was Grant Baylor coming in there in the number 5 spot, and just behind him by about 5 seconds, just under 6 seconds, 5.881 was the Stu Baylor. Pascal Rachenecker riding in the XC1. I know you saw the points, the point standings in the XC2, but he has moved up into the XC1, doing pretty well right now in that number 7 spot. Josh Strang back there in the number 8 position with Jordan Ashburn in 9th and Lane Michael rounding out your top 10. All XC1 outside of Ben Kelly and Josh Toth. We mentioned it before the show. Can Ben Kelly capture an overall win? A lot of racing left. We got 3 hours to go before it's all said and done, but wow, how about the start from Ben Kelly? And we see there Trevor Bollinger hard on the throttle. He wants to get his first XC1 win, and he is pushing through there, as is Ricky Russell. But man, incredible stuff. After 1, we got Ben Kelly out front, Josh Toth in the number 2 spot. Taking a look at the rest of the pack here as they checked in, get you a top 20 here. Lane Michael was your 10th place rider. 11th place was Craig DeLong. Jack Edmondson, by the way, welcome back, Jack Edmondson. He's running in the XC2 today. He's in 12th. Mike Wachowski behind him in the number 13 spot in the overall. Liam Draper was behind him in 14th with Andrew DeLong in the number 15 spot. 16th is Evan Smith, the 1, 2, 3 of Austin Lee in 17th. Jonathan Johnson in the number 18 spot, and Brendan Reardon is in the number 19 spot, and in first place in the FMF XC3 and 20th in the overall. Jesse Ansley just checked in there at the finish line. But how about it? Trevor Bollinger, he is your physical leader. Hard on the charge. You can tell he is really chasing after that first win in the XC1. But, man, joined in the booth now by Rodney Tomlin. And can you believe it, man, after 1 lap, Ben Kelly, we talked about it before the race. He's out in front. He wants that win from the XC2.
Well, you know, that's one thing that I've heard a lot of people say, and that's one of the reasons that we spoke with Ben Kelly prior to the start of the race, because we anticipate some big things out of him after seeing what's happened the last 2 rounds alone. Both he and Josh Toth doing so well and so strong in their battle for that number 1 plate in the XC2 class, and it has just elevated their game into, well, first and second overall here today, especially, you know, I'm not going to say because of the absence of Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall, because if we look back in history, the last 2 races, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth are right there in the mix of things already anyway. It's just that now that those 2 aren't there, that's 2 less variables they have to factor in and work against. So a lot of folks are expecting that both Ben Kelly and Josh Toth will be making the overall podium from row 2. And I don't know of a time we've ever had 2 from row 2 in the XC2 class on the podium. Now, I think we've seen an overall winner from the XC2 class in years past. It's been a long time, but we have never seen 2 from the XC3 or XC2 class on the overall podium. So that right there could be some pretty exciting stuff, if I am remembering correctly. I don't recall anything like that.
I'm not saying I told the future or anything, but this morning during the youth race, we had this exact scenario. Grant Davis and JoJo Cunningham on the youth race come from row number 2. They finished I think they finished first and third. But regardless, it happened this morning, and I said this during this morning's race. I was like, hey, guys, if this is any indication of what we're going to see this afternoon, the fans here and the fans at home are in for a real treat. This just, it always seems like there's going to be some history made at Ironman. Maybe we'll have some of that magic today.
No doubt. And, you know, it's looking down through here, I see Trevor Bollinger is 3rd overall. He's leading the XC1 class. Ricky Russell, Grant Baylor, they're 1, 2, and 3 in the XC1 class. Stu Baylor back and forth. He's 6th overall right now. Pascal Rocknecker would be holding on to a top 5 in the XC1 class. He's 7th overall with Josh Strang. 8th overall, Lane Michael is actually Jordan Ashburn is 9th overall. Lane Michael is 10th overall. And I'm looking down through here, and the rider that got the whole shot, Ryan Sipes, 264. I don't even see him in our top 20 right now. That's kind of out of the ordinary for Ryan Sipes. Generally, he's a solid top 10 rider, no doubt. He checks in 11th place in the XC1 Pro class, and unfortunately there are only 11 riders in that class today, so he is last. He was 2 minutes and 39 seconds behind Jesse Grom, who was 2 minutes and 8 seconds behind Andrew DeLong, so that puts him nearly 5 minutes behind 9th place right now, and that's a long road to hoe if he wants to try to make up some time and get up there in the thick of things. But you know what? Ryan Sipes has got plenty of time to make it happen, and he's one of those riders. It's not necessarily a dedicated championship series for him, but it is a ride for fun and a ride for pride. So something tells me he might be willing to dig a little deeper just to see what he can achieve here today.
That's right. It's silly season, Rodney. Silly season. And Ryan Sipes has had one of the silliest years, I think. This guy's all over the place, done a little bit of everything.
Well,
Sipes. I corrected it. Yeah.
He
said you called him Snipes. I was like, yeah, I caught that. Well, it's because I'm in Indiana. I'm thinking of my dad making me go snipe hunting as a kid. That's
you
what
went
it
snipe
is.
hunting as a kid?
Yeah.
I used to take neighbor kids snipe hunting all the time. I wasn't a very liked neighbor, that's for sure. But nonetheless, wow, yeah, I mean, we're talking about the excitement. You mentioned the word silly season. That is certainly a good way to look at this. And the final round at GNCC is always exciting. If it's not a championship, like it comes down to the wire sometimes, it's this scenario we've got going on here where there's a lot of unknown variables that are going to certainly tip the table, tilt it a little bit, if you will, and it's going to make for some exciting stuff. And whenever things finally settle down, we usually end up scratching our head and just simply saying, wow, that just happened.
That's incredible. He's like,
alternate
nope,
line right there.
I did not want to do those log jumps. Not doing it.
You can't make me, you can't make me, you can't make me.
Pretty cool, though. I know there was a lot of drama surrounding the Ironman Hill coming into today. That was pretty cool. Tim Cotter was out there this afternoon, and he said, hey, guys, that was only for the ATVs. Bikes, it's just full-blown. For those that are just tuning in that might be wondering about that, these riders will all be taking Ironman Hill if they want. Now, certainly there is the bypass they can use as well.
Well, I remember a few years ago, gosh, it was probably 2006 or 7 or 5, maybe around in there, I actually raced the Ironman GNCC on the ATV side of things. And, well, I tell you, man, this is a track that is so much fun to ride, and it's so challenging at the same time. And I think that's what we're expecting to see happen here today, is this track, and we've watched it, we've witnessed it all weekend long. We came in here on Friday, it started raining on Friday morning, got things softened up, but we've watched this track actually transform itself from some snotty stuff to some of the most perfect conditions. And one thing we've been talking about is Indiana dirt, Indiana dirt, Indiana dirt. And I'll tell you what, whenever these guys rolled into this race earlier in the week, it's amazing what a difference it looked like only, a little less than a week ago whenever the track crew rolled in here. And, of course, what it does now. And the work that goes into building a GNCC sometimes is, it's pretty interesting. And this week we had Jared Bolton, who is one of our junior trail bosses, take a camera around and give us some insight to the behind the scenes of the making of a GNCC trail.
All right, the GNCC track crew is rolling. All right, the GNCC track crew has rolled into Ironman. It's a little bit before 4 o'clock on Monday right now. I'm here a little bit later than what I would normally get here. Ryan's actually been out in the woods already. He's out roaming around. I might just go see if I can track him down. So I've been out riding around for just a few minutes now, and actually what I've noticed is that the woods here are the greenest I've ever seen them coming for Ironman. I've been coming here for the Ironman since like 2010 or so, and I've never seen it this green here. It's actually really cool. Look at this. This is part of what makes Ironman so awesome. Look at that dirt. It's now Thursday morning. We're in really good shape here. We're out kind of starting to get some final touches put on some stuff, which is really good. There's leaves and little sticks and everything, and I'm telling you, you could walk through here and pick that stuff up from now until the end of the weekend. And so I went and got a leaf blower. So we got to a spot here where the quads are going to go that way, and then the bike races are going to split off, and they're going to go over here up that trail and run their own little bike-only section. They kind of run. A lot of times with the 10 a.m. bike race, there's so many classes that honestly you can't get all the rows off in time unless you've got a little bit longer course.
Well, a rather interesting look at the behind-the-scenes action of course, building the track and some of the things that go into it. I guess you can see that they had the dozers out. There were some down trees. They had to push it a lot. And as always, we go out and blow the leaves and the sticks off the tracks out there, so riders don't have any obstacles that they have to deal with while they're out there. We even slap a few hay bales on the trees out there, and just put some lemonade stands up,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'll be honest with you. What that particular part of the video, go ahead.
I was going to say, I believe that's our leader, physical leader, Trevor Bollinger. So you see those time gaps shortening up a little bit.
So they're coming down and then going right back up here at Ironman Hill, it looks like. And what I was going to say is that was actually the E-mountain bike track that he was blowing the sticks and leaves off of. So we don't do that to all the GNCC trails, but it's sure is funny to think that we made. Is that Ben Kelly? It is.
That's Ben Kelly.
Wow. Ben Kelly is in the thick of the
There's Toth right behind him.
Right behind him. Those guys are on adjusted time, leading the overall right now, and they are right there with Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor, Pascal Rocknecker, and Josh Strang. They were not very far ahead of them physically on that racetrack whenever they came through just a moment ago, and things are really starting to get kind of interesting. I have to wonder if they keep this pace up, will they be able to actually pass all the way up into a physical third place or maybe physical first place overall position today?
It'd be wild if they did. I mean, to keep talking about, that's exactly what happened this morning's youth race. So I don't know, maybe it's just they were inspired by the youth riders. We'll put it that way. How about that?
Well, I'll tell you one rider that we're not seeing. There he is, Stu Baylor, the Magic Dragon out there.
Hopefully, I mentioned that earlier. Hope the folks at home got a chance to see that. I was eating with him at Moose Racing last night. By the way, they had an amazing meal last night. Hopefully you guys at the track got some of that. But he's like, you're going to love my outfit for the starting line. And I know Chandler Russell posted it up on her Instagram. So if you didn't see it, head on over to Chandler's page and check it out. He had, he's dressed like Godzilla, I guess, if, we're at Ironman.
Yeah, that works.
Godzilla, yeah.
That works.
Or Puff the Magic Dragon, however you want
I was thinking more along the lines of a little dragon like that. But, we'll call him Godzilla. Hey, his brother's the Grizzly, you know what I mean? Grizzly Grant. I forgot to call him that during opening ceremonies today, too. Hey, we're 42 minutes nearly into this race now, and it's hard to believe that time is slipping away so quick. Started a little over an hour late today, if I'm not mistaken. We have had an amazing turnout of riders. We had over 800 riders, almost 900, 894 to be exact this morning for the 10 o'clock race. We had some 200 youth riders this morning and 300 riders this afternoon, over 300 riders in this afternoon's race. So I got a number about 2,400, a little over 2,400 entries for the weekend, if I remember correctly. And Johnny Gallagher joining us. Welcome back, Johnny G. And, wow, I know this is a pretty exciting race day, and I know that there's a lot of things to take in, so you took a little extra time to get over to the booth today, I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I wish I had a cool story about getting to see cool stuff, but instead it was just 40-mile-an-hour winds tearing up awnings on trailers and that kind of stuff that we had to deal with. So, but more importantly, I mean, like you said, if that is the number 2,400, that is a new GNCC record, which I believe we break last year's GNCC record of 22:20, and the year before that was 22:05. So it's just absolutely crazy that we keep adding numbers to this. And man, what an event! I mean, you can't not be excited about what's going on in this whole facility, specifically right now, this 3-hour race and this afternoon race on the racetrack. I'm sure you guys, I'll be reiterating a lot of stuff that you've already said, but man, the drama of a new winner today. You know, we've got the two guys that have been doing the lion's share, the winning all year this year, in Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell, obviously both out today. Caleb Russell here with us, but not out on the course due to the surgery. Thad Duvall in a cast after an injury sustained at St. Clairsville just a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So now we've got some guys that you know have suddenly it's like new blood interjected into their veins. Yeah. Their hearts are pumping. They want to get up there. They want to get that first win. Or in the case of somebody like Stu Baylor or Ricky Russell that have a win or two, you know, they want to add to their tally. So pretty awesome to see the way these guys are pushing hard. And it was put out on social media earlier this week, who's going to be the one to win, and everybody commented. I commented on the GNC Instagram and said, I know the answer, and I'm not going to tell. I have it in my phone, and I will show you guys afterwards. But let's just say, no, I'm not going to say anything. Let's just say I don't look real dumb at the moment. So
right. I don't think anybody's looking real dumb at the moment. There's a lot of people making that call. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, this obviously is a big moment and could be some big moments for some riders, and Ben Kelly, Josh Toth are in position to make some big things happen for themselves from that second row. But Johnny, you know, here we are at round 12, looking back, guys, and through this 12 races of GNCC racing, and you know, this has been a pretty monumental year. There's been a lot of great things that have taken place, and actually our producer Adam Gordon got together the top 5 moments of 2018. And the top 5 moments of 2018, Johnny, you can and Mikey, you can talk a little bit about this too, is Grant Baylor's last lap charges. This young man has just been an amazing terror, and that's one thing that we've been able to note about him. I mean, when the race gets long, that's when he gets strong.
Absolutely. He gets stronger as the race goes on, and we've known this for several years about Grant, but this year it's been more pronounced and more impressive. He just pours it on late in the race, and you can expect to see Grant on the gas that last lap up there battling for a podium.
The number 4 thing of 2000, top moment of 2018 here in GNCC racing is Trevor Bollinger got his second at Tomahawk at the Tomahawk, and that was an amazing race. He shadowed Caleb Russell all day long. And of course, oh, mercy.
Wow.
So, and that right there kind of set the ball rolling for him and got him really excited about pushing toward those, well, that first win, of course. The number 3 moment of 2018, Josh Strang took the second place position at John Penton. It was not the second place position that's so impressive, but it's the ride that he came back from, I think, is more impressive, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Josh has been kind of on a comeback trail all year this year, you know, really pushing himself and coming through the pack. You could see he was just completely depleted after that one, left it all out. And soon after, just a few weeks later, became a daddy.
That's right. Yeah. Here we are. The number 2 is Thad Duvall's win at Powerline Park. And that one was a big one on a lot of different levels.
Absolutely. Came from behind, down in the first turn, second turn, charged back through the entire XC1 pack, battled all day long with Caleb Russell, and was able to get the win.
And he broke his wrist.
And with a broken wrist.
That's why he's standing there now. And the number 1 top 5 moment, of course, is Caleb Russell's 6th championship in GNCC racing. That is certainly breaking some records. Not quite the 9, of course, of Eddie Lojak, but man, whenever you look at modern day racing, certainly Caleb Russell, his 6th championship was a huge and monumental moment in 2018. And that's our top 5 moments here in 2018 in GNCC racing. And you know, we might have a 6th top 5, or we might be able to bump one of these top 5 moments out after today's racing.
Yeah, we may have a first-time winner or a new winner at least in 2018. I believe, has it been Thad and Caleb have won every race this year?
I believe so,
yeah.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Either which way, even if we don't have a first-time winner, we will have a first-time winner for this season. We are certain of that due to the fact that our only 2 previous overall winners in 2018, Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall, neither one started today's race. So we're going to have a first-time winner this season, at least. Guys that we know that have won so far that are lined up in there are, we've got, obviously knowing that Stu Baylor won the opener last year. Ricky Russell won snowshoe last year. Josh Strang, a multi-time winner. So there's 3 guys just off the top of my head that have won races overall. I think that might actually be it. Oh, no, Grant Baylor also has a win. So we have 4 riders in the field who do have overall wins.
Right.
But we know that none of those guys have won yet so far in 2018. So we're going to have a first-time winner in 2018 and very possibly a first-time winner outright.
You know, I don't know if that says whether it's saying a lot about Caleb and Thad and the intensity of the battle that they have, or if that just talks about how hard these guys might be trying and pushing themselves over some limits and over some edges sometimes.
Well, you know, Rodney, earlier this year, I don't remember the exact post, but it was something on social media. I believe GNCC posted it, but maybe not. And it was a video, and I made a comment to the effect of watching Thad and Caleb and the pace that they're pushing and the way that they're riding, how the 2 of those guys are really elevating the sport. And actually, that very next week, totally unexpectedly, ran into Josh Strang at a practice track, and he brought up the comment. And I was like trying to crawl inside my shoes at the moment because, you know, here's a guy who's won a GNCC championship. He's won many GNCC races. He's a phenomenal racer with a crazy impressive resume. And I felt that I had just insulted him, and he said, let me finish. He said, I agree with you 100%. He said, I couldn't agree more. Those guys, they're pushing each other so hard that it's pushing the rest of us to have to step up our game because, you know, I want to be a race winner. I don't want to get beat by those guys, let alone get beat by minutes like they were beating those guys earlier in the year. Well, now you got guys like Josh and Ben Kelly, Josh Toth, Stu Baylor, Grant Baylor. These guys have stepped up, and they've interjected themselves in the battle with Thad and Caleb. Now that those guys are gone, this pace is still just as fast. It's just the 2 guys that seem to have all the intricacies figured out are sitting this one out today. So there's, like I said, new blood in the water, and these guys are all sharks.
All of them chomping too and ready to take a bite today. That's for sure. And you know, this could certainly set the stage for some. I think a lot of excitement for these guys for next year. We're watching at Ironman Hill, the Monster Mile. We got some rapid replay action coming from our friends at Rocky Mountain ATVMC. I think this is lap 1. That was Ricky Russell actually leading there, it looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. Ricky was off to the right there. We see, looks like Trevor Bollinger was in 4th there at the time. There we see Stu Baylor. Looks like all the rest of Lane Michael coming through, and these guys. Ricky Russell was the only one that took that far right line. The rest of these guys all kind of going up. I can't really tell. I don't think that was the line we were taking yesterday. These guys are a little further to the right than we were. It was a little V'd out. We kind of had a different line over there, but man, that hill is intense. If you don't make it, I don't know if you guys got to see some of the footage and some of the pictures. You got to make it. You got to commit, and if you don't make it, bail because you don't want to come down with that machine. But yeah, it's the track's really in excellent shape. I mean, we had some rain, obviously. You wouldn't know it by looking at the feed, and if you're here today kind of trouncing around in the mud, it was actually dusty here on Thursday.
Right.
And then Thursday night into Friday morning, we got some rain. Here we are out, and this should be about the 11-mile marker, I believe. There is Ricky Russell, the 212 machine. He got that new Answer Racing gear, and it really sticks out, that red, white, and blue. There is Stu Baylor. I believe that was Stu. Hard to tell if that was Stu or Grant. I think it was Stu. As you guys talk about, I can identify those guys. The problem is Stu and Grant look so much alike on the bike.
Sure.
Not just the fact that they ride the same bike, their riding style is very similar. But I believe that was Stu.
Yeah.
Here we see this should be Josh Strang. It is the 114 machine of Josh Strang.
Pascal Rocknecker.
Yeah, there was Rocknecker, and I believe that is Kelly. There is Ben Kelly coming through. I don't know if we lost Trevor Bollinger. There's Toth right behind him. There's Lane Michael latched onto those 2 guys. So I don't know if we missed Trevor Bollinger and he is in the lead. Okay, so he came through before Ricky Russell there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking there. So Bollinger is continuing to hold down the physical lead right now. I do want to let you in on what the time adjustments are looking like. Ben Kelly, who's leading the adjusted time right now, a 26-minute, 28-second first lap time. Josh Toth turned a 26:30 lap time. And Trevor Bollinger, who's leading the XC1, turned a 26:52. Ricky Russell, a 26:55. You have to wonder, do the guys in the second row in some of these newer sections might have a little bit of an advantage because where these guys are having to blaze new parts of the trail, because there are a few bike-only sections out there that they may be having to blaze here this afternoon. Do you think the guys in the second row may be gaining a little advantage on them in those parts of the trail?
There's actually a twofold thing going on there, I believe, Rodney. I think one of the things is just like you mentioned, the trail's a little bit more established. The stumps and the rocks and the logs are kind of all exposed, so they know what they're getting into and they can charge harder. There's already a rut there for them to make those corners. You know, cornering a dirt bike on flat, slick ground is very difficult. Once you get a little bit of a rut, which only takes 5-6 bikes sometimes, you know, it makes that trail faster. Also, the other side of that is these XC2 guys, they are, and not just these guys, historically the XC2 class is always very fast at the beginning of the race. The reason for that is these guys are young. They haven't been snake bit as many times as these older guys have. And, you know, these older guys are like, look, man, this is a 3-hour race. We're going to get this first lap out of the way, get the trail established, figure out where all the contenders are at, and then we're going to race from there. The XC2 guys, it's like you've got a bunch of penned-up bulls, and they're behind that starting line, and when you wave that green flag, they're just charging right from the get-go.
Well, and you know, I think a lot of those guys might pick up on that, and they realize that's whenever they can actually make some gains and put themselves in a decent position, and I think maybe they're actually starting to take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's, I think, especially if you look at it from the perspective of Ben Kelly, this is a rider who all year long, despite the fact that he is your XC2 points leader, all year long he's struggled early in these races. Yeah. He's been way behind Josh Toth, and in many cases we've seen him back in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th even, you know, 45 minutes or more, even an hour into these races, and then it's at the end, he kind of does the whole Grant Baylor thing and just keeps charging and catches up. The last 2 races, he's been up front right off the start, pinned, and between him and Josh Toth, they're just pushing each other so hard that they're getting well up into the XC1 pack just a few miles into the race. So it's definitely, it's kind of changed just these last 2 races. Also, I think obviously coming back from break, those guys worked really hard over the summer. Not that the XC1 guys didn't, but man, those 2 guys in Toth and Kelly, they are hungry. They've got the entire resources and facilities of the FMF factory KTM, along with Trail Jesters backing Ben Kelly, and they're working really hard and they want it bad, and it's showing right now. But you can't write off experience either. Trevor Bollinger, Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor, Ricky Russell, these are all guys that have won races or been in the contention for overall victories late in races over the past several years, and I don't know. We'll wait and see how this one pans out. I know what I thought was going to happen beforehand, but, you know, there's still a lot of racing action left.
Yeah, there is a lot of action left, and we're nearing the completion of the 2nd lap of racing. Now, remember, we're a little bit shorter on the first lap than the rest of the laps. What we start at near the 1 mile marker, I think it was?
Yes, actually, I believe it's between the 1 and the 2.
Okay, so what we expect, maybe 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, something like that, longer lap time.
Rodney, here we have Trevor Bollinger out on the Ironman MX track, and he is coming backwards over that finish line. The 739 JCR Honda, hard on the throttle and in pursuit of his first GNCC victory. He's got about 2 hours and 5 minutes left, though. So he's this one's looking like it's going to work out to be a 6-lap race based on time. 2 laps into this, 55 minutes, so we're basically doing 2 laps in an hour. He's opened up a little bit of a gap. We see in the background there is the 212 and Pro Yamaha of Ricky Russell. Do you see Trevor Bollinger with his left hand there slapping the top of the handguard, Rodney?
Yeah, it must be trying to adjust things there and get them more comfortable for him. Sometimes maybe he hit a tree, maybe he even went down. You know, we don't see it oftentimes, but even the leaders go down sometimes, and they have little miscues out there on the trail. But there's Ricky Russell checking in. He looks like no miscues so far for him, at least in this previous lap of racing, as he still maintains the number 2 position. Right
that is actually Grant Baylor. That is not Stu.
That's the Grizz?
That is Grant Baylor. So Grant Baylor in that third place position.
Yeah, 3rd.
And we wait and see Josh Strang here now in 4th. The 114 machine, that factory Rockstar Racing Husqvarna.
Did we miss something? I have on my calculations of timing and scoring, Stu Baylor checking in first place 3 seconds ahead of the 739. I did not see the 514 out there, did you?
I did not see Stu Baylor either.
Okay, so maybe we missed something. Maybe timing and scoring's jumping around, though. Now we got Ben Kelly checking in the number 1 spot overall. 29:24 lap time for him. Stu Baylor had a 28:50. Josh Toth a 29:26. So, man, Stu, if that's the case, man, Stu's really riding something pretty hard.
I don't see how we could have missed him the way the track was laid out.
I know.
But I tell you what, Rodney, we're going to get a first-hand view right here in front of us in a minute. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. You do you. I'm going to watch the track here because I'll be coming through here in about a minute. We should see if we do, in fact, have Stu Baylor. I hear some serious 350 or 450 revs coming. I'll let you know in just a minute.
Well, as we look at adjusted time right now, if we take into account, and Stu Baylor is your leader and did turn a 28:50 lap time last time around, there is only a 2-second deficit now between he and Ben Kelly. Kelly turned a 29:24 lap time, which is, a little bit faster. Well, no, actually, Bollinger turned a 29:06, so we're starting to see where those guys are later in the race, or at least in the second lap, starting to find a little bit faster pace out there. So this is going to get exciting. Things are tightening up out there.
There we see Jordan Ashburn on screen on that factory beta, hard on the throttle, doing all he can to try and make up that gap. Looks like he's given up a little bit of time. He was in that fight for the top 5. Right now, not so much the case. Here we see, looks like Lane Michael on the, is that Lane Michael or is that, yes, that is Michael, the 523 on that KR4 Racing Husqvarna, working his way through, trying to make up that gap. We saw he was a little bit closer to that battle just a few moments ago. Oh, I'm sorry. That is Liam Draper, the 198. I wondered how Lane got so far back there. So that's one of our top XC2 riders, and Liam Draper, not sure exactly what place he's in that XC2 class, but we know the top 2 out front are checked out pretty good.
Fourth or fifth. I think Draper's in like 5th place. Let me double check that for you real quick.
Here we go. Stu Baylor is your leader. And on his rear wheels, Trevor Bollinger, but they are both in the pits in the VP Fuels Pro Road. There you see Stu Baylor just out of camera shot in the back there. The top of that dump can that you see, that is Trevor Bollinger. So these guys 1 and 2. Apologies to Stu for missing him. But we're going to have a pass for the lead. Trevor Bollinger takes over the lead and makes the pass in the pits. He motions to Stu, come on, let's go. Let me tell you what's going through their head. Hey, we got some XC2 guys that want this overall. Let's work together and show these guys what's up.
Well, he knows that that Stu's running a fast lap time right now. He had to make up some big time out there. Bollinger 29:06. So actually, Baylor was about 16 seconds faster. What Trevor wants is those two to get out, like you said, and get that breakaway so they can separate themselves on adjusted time from that XC2 class also.
And there is Grant Baylor. He is now through. He took some fuel, took some goggles. Looked like Strang actually went through, did not pit that time. Trevor Bollinger working his way through the matrix. These logs are slippery, folks. Bollinger stalls his JCR Honda. He is stuck and not able to make it through. Ricky Russell is going to make the pass for the second place position. And Stu Baylor went around, took the mulch, and took over the lead. That was the deciding factor right there.
Man, those little miscues like that. There's Toth in and out of the pits, I believe. I would say Ben Kelly's probably been in and out as well. Ooh. Man, those logs are a little tougher and a little deceiving whenever you take a look at them, huh?
Absolutely. Grant Baylor through there. So that looks to be the faster line, but it's a little bit risky. There we see Pascal Rocknicker going through, and he takes the mulch pile rather than the matrix. Here we see Ben Kelly coming. There is your leader in the XC2 class, and right behind him, who do you think that's going to be right? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Josh Toth is right there. Those guys are all going the alternate line, so I guess those polls might be a little more deceiving from us as a spectator standpoint. We think, oh, man, that'd be easy. Just get up there and wheelie tap right across a wheelie and just hit it.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't walk the track yesterday or on Friday, so I didn't even know they were there. I took the mulch pile every lap. Never knew there was an option to go through the matrix until after the race. Somebody asked me which line I took, and I said, what do you mean? They said, which line did you take in the mulch pile? I said, I didn't know there was an option.
Which line would you have taken had you known there was an option?
I would have still taken the mulch pile. those logs don't look fun or friendly at all.
No, not a bit. That's for doggone sure. But I'll tell you, they certainly changed the face of what's going on up front. And that right there gives Stu Baylor a little bit of breakaway and running room right now, which could yield some big things for him, because if he can get out front and maybe settle into a pace, he might be able to reserve that energy for the third hour that he's been lacking the last few races.
Yeah, Baylor has really been on the gas early in these races. You know, he's led two of our last two GNCCs at one point or another, and for quite some time in Mason-Dixon, he actually stretched out quite a lead. It wasn't just that he was leading, he had a gap. Nobody could see him. They couldn't even smell his exhaust. He was way out front, checked out, but Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall were able to run him down late in the race at the last, earlier in the race, the last one, but the race before, it was Thad Duvall that was able to run him down, make the pass, and grab the win, steal it away from him. And Stu admitted, he said, I just don't have it late in the race. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to make it happen. And again, like you said, today might be the day that he's able to take it all the way to the finish. His speed is never in question.
Never in question. I think maybe the level that he has to push himself at just to stay up with or ahead of Thad and Caleb, I think that right there might take a lot out of him as well. Taking a look right now, something we haven't talked about, this is one of the bigger FMF XC3 lineups we've had so far this season. We've got 13 riders in on this one so far, and we got some pretty cool names out there. We see Jesse Ansley, who is one of the top competitors in this class, leading this one. No surprises there. But second place, Cody Barnes, no surprise there for the 99 machine on his Beta, who's really taken that bike to new levels, I believe. Jake Froman out of Linville in Indiana. Maybe a little bit of a surprise for this rider to be up into the number 3 spot. But how about Luke Rensland? Luke Rensland, I recognize that name, and I'm sure you do too, but I think that more from a motocross side of things. And to see him making the switch over to GNCC is pretty cool, and from what I hear, he may be back here next year full time.
Yeah, crazy to hear. You know, he had he was on a support Yamaha team ride. I believe it was Traders Yamaha that he was a part of this year, and he's not going to be back with that team next year, from what we're hearing. And it's crazy because he was actually on a podium in Supercross this year in the lights class, and now he's potentially going to be racing GNCC. Don't know, maybe XC3, XC2. Not exactly sure, but he's talking to some teams about some rides, and definitely cool to see him up there.
No doubt about that. We see riders like Zach Nolan back in the number 5 spot, and we got Chris Bach in 6th, Logan Lowry 7th, Matthew Sims 8th, Nick Hunt is 8th or 9th. Colt Kinsler rounds out the top 10, and Mikey Waynes is in the pits. What's going on, Mikey?
Hey, guys, give you an update. I did hear you mention that Josh Strang did not choose to pit on that lap. The pit crew had him bypass it. Same thing for Ricky Russell here in the Yamaha pits. No pit for Ricky Russell. So both of those guys we expect will have to pit in the next lap. That's about the only update. Outside of that, everything's rolling pretty smooth down here.
Well, two things there, Rodney.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think is going on there?
Ricky Russell didn't pit, which ultimately allowed him to make that pass on Trevor Bollinger in the Matrix for the second place position.
Right.
Had he have pitted, that would not have been the case. And if you watch, he got out of the Matrix right on Stu Baylor's rear wheel. So Ricky Russell now has a tow. So this is what happens here. Ricky Russell gets to run the pace for one more lap without having to be the trailblazer, the guy that's trying to set the pace to catch up, or the guy out front leading. The issue is, next lap when they come through the pits, Ricky Russell will have to pit. So he needs to get the lead and break away if he wants to be able to keep up that pace and stay with the leaders. So we're going to see Ricky Russell putting in one heck of a sprint. Rodney, what's that stuff there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to talk about that stuff on the lens of the camera. But watch this camera shot right here, and watch this field and how, I don't want to say challenging, but I will say it is certainly becoming.
That guy you see on screen there is a real tall guy. Used to race XC1. He's out there on the 133 machine, running that number for Dale Cook. And Chris Bach out there in that FMF XC3 class, trying to make that little Tiddler bike go. He is currently getting spanked by Jesse Ansley, though, I will say that. He talked a lot of trash this week to Jesse.
Did he? Yeah, I can imagine. That's been a lot of fun to be around. Hey, but one thing I wanted to point out, did you notice that those guys are starting to ride the outside? They're blazing a little wider trail around there as that part of the field is really starting to chop up quite a bit. And it's starting, almost looks like some sand or something we'd see in Florida. Maybe not quite that big of acceleration bumps, but it's getting rough out there in those open fields.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting rough, and it's getting interesting. There we see coming by the VP Fuels Pro Row. Looks like Rensland and Bach was hot on his heels just behind Cody Barnes. So I don't know if those guys are all still within the top 5. We'll have to wait and see if we can get an update now that they have checked in a second time. There is Barnes on screen right there in the FMF mulch pile. He just went by, and there was another 125 in front of him. Not sure who that was. Have they caught up to Ansley? We'll have to look and see here. Yes, they have.
1.8 seconds,
1.8 seconds. So Jake Froman also in there. Luke Rensland, if we watch on screen here, the next bike we should see through on a Yamaha with some very bright shot gear, I believe it is Luke Rensland. And that is not him. That is Hunter Neuwirth. Oh, they must have already gone through, unless they pitted, because they both probably had to pit this lap, and Neuwirth did not pit. So we should see Rensland coming through, and then Chris Bach on the 133 machine. That is another XC2 rider. I believe that was Levi Keller there. And, wow, these guys had some long pit stops. There is Chris Bach, and there is Luke Rensland. Different lines. Rensland taking the mulch pit. Bach's taking the Matrix. Let's see how this works out for him. Rensland makes the pass.
Wow.
So definitely we know the mulch pile is, in fact, faster.
Wow.
There is Rensland on screen. Sorry to cut you off there, Rodney. Look at how bright that gear is.
Who would have thought that that would be the case as far as that matrix and mulch pile out there? But I guess if you could blitz those logs fast enough, it might actually be a little bit faster. But yeah, back out in these open field sections where the challenges are starting to stack up for these riders. And wow, already seeing Ansley under pressure. Barnes is there, Proman's there. And good to see Luke Rinsland doing so well here in his first outing, here in the FMF XC3, if I'm not mistaken. So back to the overall right now as we continue to watch what's going on. Wow, Jesse Ansley is actually 20th place. Well, Jesse Ansley, 37 and 20th place overall right now from that FMF XC3 class, 125s. That's pretty good, especially whenever you take into consideration how hungry those XC1 and XC2 guys are right now. And I'll tell you, you know, this being the last race, that creates a lot of excitement. You know, a lot of people are hungry. We talk about the silly season, putting the explanation point on it. But, you know, for a lot of us too, Johnny, the last race is as much a celebration. You know, that's what it is for the Racer Productions crew and staff. I mean, we're serious business, no doubt about it. But we also like to use this as a celebration. The industry's out in full force. And with that, Monster Energy brought to the stage on Friday night the Davidson brothers. And last night, Easton Corbin was the featured entertainment. And wow, what an amazing Saturday night here in Indiana. Easton, we welcome you to Ironman GNCC.
Yeah, man, thank you for having us. It's exciting.
What are you thinking about GNCC? Is this your first ever off-road race?
Yeah, this is one of my first ever. You know, I've ridden four-wheelers, stuff like that, side by side all my life. But I've actually never been to an actual race like this, so I'm pretty excited.
Pretty impressive stuff, isn't it?
It's definitely my audience, trust me.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Easton,
hey, thank you,
good
brother.
luck to you tonight.
Appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you on stage tonight. Johnny, I tell you, I got to say that, you know, that was honestly one of my favorite songs this past summer. I had no idea that that guy was going to be here at the track. A top 5 single for him. He's getting ready to release another one, and what a great show. Thanks to Monster Energy for bringing the Monster Energy stage and the great entertainment they brought with us here in 2018. Back to the racing action now.
I'll tell you what, Rodney, you know, for me that was a pretty cool moment. I mean, being at these races since 1983 and seeing, you know, a top recording artist. I mean, not that we haven't had great bands at Snowshoe, and you know, kudos to all the guys that have in acts that have come and performed here at GNCC. But, I mean, this is a guy who, you know, you can turn on the radio any day of the week, whether it's XM radio or, you know, regular broadcast radio, any day of the week, and you can't listen to country radio for more than about 15 minutes without hearing an Easton Corbin song. So to see him there, you know, those shots were great, but what they didn't show is the depth of that crowd.
Oh,
you know,
I know.
It looked like there was a few hundred people in front of the stage, but the reality of it was it went all the way back through that field. There was people in side-by-sides, and, you know, I'll tell you what, GNCC racing's been growing for years, but last night was something to see. That was something.
When I was leaving out of here last night, the people coming in were coming in. I mean, it wasn't 1 or 2 at a time or 5 or 6 at a time. They were coming in groups of 20 and 30 at a time, walking together. And it wasn't just 1 or 2. I'm talking group after group after group of people coming through, and this place was packed. I think all of Montgomery County was here last night.
Hey, I'll tell you what, and again, no disrespect, we've had some awesome artists over the years come, 10-Man Push and Davison Brothers on Friday night, you know, some great, well-known artists that have great songs and great talent. I've never made time in my day to go and sit. Last night I went to the concert. I wasn't able to make the whole thing. I had some meetings, but as soon as I was done, I said, guys, I got to go. I'm going to this concert. Drove all the way back from town just so I could catch the last part of his set, and it was awesome. You know, I was pumped for it. I'm not a huge country music guy, but I do listen to a little of it, and Easton Corbin's one of my favorites. It was definitely awesome to see him perform, and speaking of performing, looks like we got some guys out there performing right now, and as we look into that top 20 overall real quick there, Rodney, a couple things jump out at me. In the 13th place spot, we've got Liam Draper, which is by far his best overall so far this year. But the crazy part is he is 5th in that XC2 class. You look right in front of him is Craig DeLong in the 4th place spot. We're typically seeing him in that top 5, usually on the podium. But look at that name there right in front of him. Jack Edmondson, back with us this weekend, raced the FMF XC3 class last year, won the majority of the races, ultimately had an injury that kept him from being able to contend for that championship, but wasn't able to secure a ride. Got a ride with Factory Sherco in his home country of UK, and he was over there racing this year and said, I want to come back over. I want to race XC2. I didn't get to do it last year. I'm healthy now. Currently running in that 3rd place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class. So right now on the podium, Jack Edmondson, right behind him, Craig DeLong and Liam Draper. And again, Jesse Ansley from that FMF XC3 class already into the top 20 overall. We've seen him finishing in the top 20 overall the last several rounds, but it's usually the last lap that he just jumps in there. Today, perhaps fueled on by the hate and speech and trash talk from Chris Bach and all the other guys in that class. There we see the 1-2-3 of Austin Lee. For a minute there, I thought we were seeing Trevor Bollinger on screen. Those Hondas look pretty similar, and they got the same gear on today. But Ansley pushing the pace here early and pushing it hard.
No doubt about it. And with that, I do want to take a look at a couple of other classes as we'll take a look at let's take a look at the Open A class right now. We've talked about the 125 class. We've talked about the 250 class and the big class. Of course, the XC1 class, but let's talk about some of these amateur classes. You know, we talked about these nearly 2,400 entries that we've got here this weekend. Well, I'll tell you, most of the GNCC Nation in racing is comprised of amateur riders, and we focus a lot on the top-tier classes, but here's some of our amateurs that are out with us right now. In the Open A class, the 43 of Ben Parsons from Orlando, Florida, had a 1.8-second lead over the 36 of Connor Smith from Denver, North Carolina. 8:48 Nick O'Brien from Chillicothe, Ohio's first capital. He's running in the number 3 spot. Kobe Beckert out of Zanesville, Ohio is 4th, and Eric Douglas from Martinsville, Indiana rounds out your top 5. Let's look 6 through 10 now. Eric Geis, the 319 out of Washington is there. Austin Porgreva from Cushing, Minnesota, the 294 and 7th. Cole Kirkhoff out of Monroe City, Indiana is 8th. Cameron Ishmael from Euless, Texas, the 446 is 9th. And Zach Tussle, the 45 from Union, South Carolina, rounds out the top 10 in the Open A class. Dakota DeFore is leading in the 250A class, the 59 machine from Yerricksville, Ohio. A 10-second gap back to the 444 of JoJo Bowden out of East Amherst, New York. Brewer Cawley, the 414 from Lexington, South Carolina, running in the number 3 spot. The 513 Ryder LeBlanc from New Florence, Pennsylvania is 4th. And Owen Guys, the 322 from Harwinton, Connecticut, about a minute back in the number 5 spot. As we look to 6 through 10, Paul Peter in the 703 from Calgary, Canada, running in that 6th spot. 385 Nathan Rector out of Rogersville, Missouri. 8th place, the 74 Blaine Kimry from Charlotte, North Carolina. Steve Nicholas is 9th place out of Clanton, Alabama. And the 487 of Noah Clark rounds out your top 10 out of Ozark, Missouri. 250A bike now switching over to the 200A bike, where we've got Chase Colville, the number 318 from West Sunbury, Pennsylvania, enjoying only a 5-second lead over Zachary Davidson, the 199 from Iron Station, North Carolina, on his Husqvarna. The 442 of Travis Raynaud from Stafford, Missouri. He's in the number 3 spot. Then in 4th place, We have Logan Kiddick out of Farmington, Minnesota. 5th place, the 281 is Michael Beeler Jr. out of Waterford Works, New Jersey. He's got about a 38-second gap up to that 4th place position. Then we've got Sean Myers, the 155 out of Reimersburg, Pennsylvania, in 6th. 290 Dylan Zimpel out of Iron Station, North Carolina, is 7th. Joe Marsh, the 39, and 8th out of Indianola, Pennsylvania. Riley Johnson, the 404 from Round Rock, Texas. And 10th place, the 409 of Colton Barlow out of Monument, Colorado. That's your top 10 200A class riders as we roll through the first hour of this race here at Crawfordsville, Indiana. Brody Johnson leading the 4-stroke A lights class. That's the 235 from Landrum, South Carolina. Already a 1 minute and 23-second lead over the 258 of Bolton Baroth from Pfafftown, North Carolina. 66, Michael DeLosa from Gillette, Pennsylvania, about 44 seconds back. The 704 of Tristan Landrum from Nelsonville, Ohio, only 7 seconds off pace in that 4th place position. In 5th place, the 463 of Nathan Davis out of Vail, North Carolina. 6th place, the 500 Preston Weller from New Palestine, Indiana. Then we've got Johnny Manera from Millville, New Jersey, the number 56. 8th place, the 413 of Jacob Chrisman from Clintonville, Pennsylvania. 9th place, Brendan Poling, 326 from Grafton, West Virginia. 10th place, the 967 of Braden Moore from Ona, West Virginia. Big gap there in 1st and 2nd, about 44 seconds back to the 3rd place position. But after that, things seem to be a little bit tighter through our 4-stroke A lights classes. Those riders continue to jockey for position. We look at Junior A-B class now. These riders 25 years of age and older, and it is the 353 of Dustin Ulrich from Trevorton, Pennsylvania, leading that class with the 480 of Nick Mellinger from Oakland, Maryland, in 2nd. Dylan Gnarl, the 441 from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, is 3rd. The 159 Devin Burks from Indianapolis is 4th. Andrew Boggs from Masontown, West Virginia, the 62, in 5th. Then it's Ted Mullins, the 366 from Hamilton, Ohio. Been a while since I read that name. Logan Dinsmore, the 418 from Lansing, Michigan. 8th place, the 426 of Joseph McCartney from Mount Clair, West Virginia. 9th place, 435, Bradley Kammer from Liberty Hill, Texas. And Peter Nickel, the rider from Friendly, Minnesota, number 402, rounds out the top 10 in that Junior AB 25-plus class. Vet A 30-plus class, Sam Forrester, the 42 out of Elkton, Maryland, 14-second lead over the 542 of Andrew Matusik from Franklin, Georgia. Matusik has been a real force to reckon with for Sam and all the riders in this class all season. Brandon Forrester, the 539, as we told you, is 3rd out of Bonne Terre, Missouri. Nathan Allring, 537 from Cincinnati, Ohio, 4th. Mike Tomasic out of Wyoming, Michigan. The 494 rounds out your top 5. Then it's Luenzo Sanchez from Kennecott, Georgia, on the 383. 522, Justin Chilvers from Westfield, Indiana. He's 7th. 8th place, Bill Zavendi, the 831 from Cabot, PA. 9th place, the 332 of Jeff O'Leary from Red Rock, Texas. And 10th place, the 67 of Jared Hoffman out of South Park, Pennsylvania. That's your Vet A 30-plus top 10 there. And let's look at all of our A class, well, Senior A. Then we'll start into some of our B classes here momentarily. Sean O'Leary, O'Leary out of Round Rock, Texas, only a 1.7-second lead after that first lap of racing over Frank Messina, the 589 from Campbell Hall, New York. Then it's New Salem, Pennsylvania's shotgun itself, Sean Remington, 34 seconds back in 3rd place position. Looking at Rick Burton, the 484 from Westville, Indiana, in 4th. Mark Harshman, Swayze, Indiana, in 5th. Jeff Houston, the 447 from Amesville, Ohio, is 6th. 7th place, the 91 Frank Tussle from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. 7th place, the 91 Frank Tussle from, 8th place, the 471 of John Beaver from Gray, Tennessee. Jamie McDaniel out of Gray Summit, Missouri, is 9th, in the 840. 5th, nice job. 10th place is Kenneth O'Connor, the 840 from Chesterton, Indiana. So good to see some of my buddies from earlier today in the racing action doing so well here. And taking home some wood, I guess you could say, a top 5 position. That says a lot when you raced out there in that morning class race today. Right now, looking at some of the B-class riders, this is after 1 for these guys. They are due in within the next minute or two. Evan Young was leading out of Brewster Mills, West Virginia by 1 minute and 25 seconds over the 222 of Peyton Harden out of Stamping, Kentucky. Then we got the 912 Jude Norris from Blacklick, Ohio. 4th place, the 502 of Jacob Barnes from Logan, Ohio. And 5th place, Clay Harden out of Bloomington, Indiana, the 367. 6th place, 177 Mario Tonkab out of Noblesville, Indiana. Matt Sorge, the 138 out of Atco, New Jersey, is 7th. 8th place, Jake Stinnett. He's out of Platte City, Missouri. 9th place, 556, Alex Kyle of Brazil, Indiana. Gage Moore, the 475 from Parkersburg, West Virginia, rounds out the top 10 now.
Rodney, as we see on screen there, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth have worked their way physically up now past Grant Baylor, and I believe, if I saw correctly, it almost looked like Kelly had passed Ricky Russell. I'm not sure if I saw that correctly. I kind of walked into the booth just at that moment as they were coming by. So we'll get some clarification, because what we're looking at here is about the 11-mile marker, and we've got not far to go until we'll see him checking in at the finish, maybe just another 2 minutes or so. Yeah. And then we're going to know for sure. Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger, we believe, still out front. I came in after, so I missed them. I apologize. But those watching the monitor at home, you got to see those guys come through. And what you don't see is the mist and the rain that Rodney doesn't want to talk about, and nobody wants to acknowledge, that is right now playing havoc and making this Ironman track very slick. There's the 523 of Lane Michael on that KR4 Racing Husqvarna. Still well within the top 10 in our running order as we run. 1 hour and 22 minutes into this one. We're nearing the halfway point as they come through and complete the 3rd lap, reiterating that, again, it probably will be a 6-lap race is what it's looking like. We don't have official word on that, but that's just from conjecture and assumption. We're looking at probably a 6-lap race, I believe.
Well, the 250 class, we take a look at the 250Bs now. And, Johnny, thank you for that update and keeping an eye on things. The 518, Cole Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania, leading Ian Flynn, the 422 from Greensboro, PA. Sam Hall, the 425 from Brownsburg, Indiana, is 3rd. Kyle Prismont out of Westchester, Ohio, the 122 and 449. Jack McMakin out of Lyman, South Carolina, rounds out your top 5. Then the 249 of Philip Daganese out of Showman, Quebec, Canada. Then we got Robert Whitlock out of Duncan, South Carolina on the 515. The 493 of Alec Kesling from Crawfordsville. Zachary Sanders from Whitestown, Indiana. The 608 is 9th, and the 526 of Trevor Townsend, also from Crawfordsville, rounds out the top 10 in that 250B class. The 200B class, Tanner Collins leading Max Rust. And Rust was running about 35 seconds back on the 482. Collins out of Crooksville, Ohio. Rust out of Iron Station, North Carolina. Then it's Tanner Kerfman out of Kensington, Ohio on the 380 in 3rd. 4th place, the 356, Jacob Harmon from Jonesboro, Tennessee. 5th place, 605, Patrick Murray from Chester, Virginia. 6th place, 490, Nate Meiser from Yerkesville, Ohio. 7th place, 533, Brayton Claycomb from Crawfordsville, Indiana. 8th is the 277, Trevor Maley from North Canton, Ohio. And Papillion, Nebraska, the 251, is home for Josh Snyder, who is your 9th place rider in that class. 4-stroke B lights class, Mac Reimer, the 715, whom we saw on screen a little while ago out of Saxonburg, PA, a 25-second lead over Jeremy Custer, the 397 from Louisville, Kentucky. Then it's Jake Easler out of Flat Rock, North Carolina, the 714 in 3rd. 680, TJ Fine, he's out of Belle Vernon, PA. Zach Maley in 5th place out of Hanoverton, Ohio. Cody Reese, the 456 out of Greensburg, PA. 7th place, the 436 of Hunter Hargis out of Euless, Texas. Then Greenbrier, Tennessee, home to Tyler McDaniels, the 476, and 9th place, 504, Zach Veeder from Middletown, Indiana. And the 451 of Austin Brune from Evansville, Indiana, rounds out your top 10 there in the 4-stroke B lights class. Vet 30-plus B class, looks like McQuay Gomez from Marlborough, Massachusetts. The 188 is your leader over the 959 of Charlie Torrizani out of Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. I bet those guys probably came together, truth be told. Matt Modick, the 805 from Newberry, Ohio, running in 3rd, 987. Joselie Ramos out of Marietta, Georgia in 4th, and Ben Conaway, the 911 out of Howard, Ohio, rounds out your top 5. 6 through 10 says 430, Jimmy Pruder out of Dayton, Ohio is 6th. 7th is the 450 of Corey Day from Huntington, Indiana. 8th place, the 368 of Dustin Aronet out of Sharon, Tennessee. Parker Fowler out of Springfield, Missouri is 9th, and Neil Hood out of Huntington, Pennsylvania, rounds out your top 10 in the Bet 30-plus B class. In the Senior B 40-plus class, Dan Price leading out of Needham, Indiana, only 4 seconds over Devin Ferguson at the end of that first lap. They was Ferguson on the 183 out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Tony Weisenhahn, the 491 out of Cincinnati, Ohio, is third. Fourth place, the 364, Tillman McDaniel from Lexington, Kentucky. Fifth place, the 424, Adam Miller from Indianapolis. Then is Mark Promper, the 110. He's out of Guys Mill, Pennsylvania. Darren Darmos, 931 out of Amherst, Ohio. Eighth place, 994, Scott Matheny from Hurricane, West Virginia. Ninth place, the 621 of Gene Swida from Sarber, PA. And 10th place, Jason Stickley from McDonald, PA. On the 461, rounds out that top 10, and I believe that pretty much rounds out our scoop of what's going on in our amateur classes right now, as we are an hour and now nearly 27 minutes into this race. Our leaders just went through just a few moments ago. Baylor was still leading, Trevor Bollinger. Ricky Russell was third, Josh Strang in fourth, but Johnny Gallagher, here's where we get to see, watch, and wait and see whether or not Ben Kelly is still on the adjusted overall time. We got Stu Baylor in. Whoa, Josh Toth checking in ahead of Ben Kelly. Toth actually third place overall, and Ben Kelly has dropped to fourth place overall, about 3 seconds back. So a 30-minute flat lap time, 30 minutes, .500. That's what Stu Baylor's lap time was. A 30.10 or 30 minute and 10 second for Trevor Bollinger. That gap is 13.5 seconds. Josh Toth, a 30.14 now on elapsed time at 26.11. That puts Stu Baylor now 16 seconds ahead of Josh Toth in the overall. Trevor Bollinger only a couple of seconds ahead, as he has a 26.09, a 1 hour and 26 minute and 9 second elapsed time. So that's getting pretty tight after an hour and a half. So now we're starting to see that happen. But, you know, there might be some inspiration still to come for those two boys back there in that, now third and fourth place overall, but first and second, the XC2. I think Ben Kelly could be fired up after going down. Whenever they get in this situation, we've seen it happen. Toth will get around him, and all of a sudden, man, they pick it up again, and they ride like lightning.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's these guys push each other, and it's a friendly rivalry. They share a house. They're from the same town, and they've been doing this all year. They push each other. They push each other all the way to the point where they're now battling not only for overall podiums, but potentially an overall win, which we can't say enough about the fact that that would, in fact, if it happens, be the first time ever that an XC2 rider on Sunday, on Bike Day, has managed to pull the overall win from the second row. But I'll tell you what, Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger are fired up, man, and they just put down a heater of a lap time to grab back those overall top two spots. There we see right there, Stu Baylor is in. He is in the VP Fuels Pro row again. He stopped last lap, and now he's stopped again. This time it was just for goggles. Trevor Bollinger coming in, looks like he might be getting himself some fresh goggles as well. He's taking some goggles, he's on the hammer, and he's off in pursuit of Stu Baylor. So there you go. Your top two overall have checked through the VP Fuels Pro row. We see here, it looks like Corey McDonald waiting on the 212, the NFAB Ampro Yamaha. Here he comes. He's on his way in. He's coming in. They're saying, yo, bud, you need fuel. You got to stop. Can't do another lap. He's going to get some fresh goggles. They're getting those goggles on for him, and they're probably telling him exactly what the gap is to the top two there. But right now, Ricky Russell needs to put the hammer down if he wants to catch back up, sitting physically third overall. But he has been passed on corrected time by both Josh Toth and Ben Kelly. There's Josh Strang. We missed him. So the fourth place physically rider is the 114 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Josh Strang. He's in, he's fueled, he's got some fresh goggles, and he's on his way. Now here they come, folks. Here it is. Josh Toth, the number one FMF KTM, that XC2 Pro Lights leader. He's in. He would pit. Oh, he had already pitted. Must have pitted last lap. He bypasses that factory KTM semi. And we're looking back. Here we see Craig DeLong out on the moto track. So we're going to miss Ben Kelly coming through the VP Fuels Pro row. But that is also, we see, looks like Liam Draper now still up on the back of Craig DeLong, not letting him get away. Those two have been battling all day so far, and they are battling over the fourth place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class, along with, we know Jack Edmondson, a returning rider who was with us last season. There we see Craig's older brother, Andrew DeLong, one of our XC1 riders, out there on the factory gas, and he is one of the only two-strokes in that XC1 Pro class. Looks to me to be, is that Grant Baylor with no front fender, the front number plate completely destroyed and gone. He got some fresh goggles and he's off, but he has done some serious damage to the front of that machine. He is as Rodney says, Grizzly Grant must have got a little angry, tried to take out a tree, and the tree fought back. Lane Michael now into VP Fuels Pro row, and there he goes, the 523 KR4 Husqvarna in pursuit of Grant Baylor and running in the top 10 in that XC1 Pro class. As we take a look here at our overall, and actually we'll look at our XC2 class to see how those guys have stacked up as they came through just a moment ago. With 3 laps complete, it is obviously Josh Toth still leading the way with a 3.1 second. We know that it's stretched out a little bit over Ben Kelly. Craig DeLong now up into the 3rd place spot, 2 minutes and 23 seconds behind. He is from Ben Kelly. Liam Draper into that 4th place spot, 13 seconds behind Craig DeLong. Mike Witkowski now up into that 5th place spot. So we've actually lost Jack Edmondson, who was running in a podium position last lap in that XC2 Pro Lights class. He has dropped outside the top 5 now, as our top 5 are Josh Toth, Ben Kelly, Craig DeLong, Liam Draper, and Mike Witkowski. So the top 5 are in and checked in, and now Evan Smith also checked in that XC2 Pro Lights class, the number 347 machine from Jefferson, Georgia, in that 5th place spot. Or 6th place spot. He has displaced Jack Edmondson, so we have not seen Edmondson check in with the 3rd lap complete. Bummer for him. It was a 1-race deal for him, but you never know. He could charge back later in this race and potentially contend for a podium or at least a top 5. These guys are pushing hard. The track is really shaping up. You know, it's soft. We got that little bit of rain, and it's really starting to rut up, not only in the woods, but even out here on this Ironman MX track. And we might think things look muddy now, but Rodney, just a few months ago, the final round of outdoor motocross was here, and boy, these guys would have killed for these conditions.
Isn't that the truth? Have I got the? Yeah, there we go. I must have picked up a different headset that time, but yeah, it's amazing what this place looked like only a few short months ago with those kind of conditions, and what it looks like now under these kind of conditions. And you know, like you said, it was dry earlier in the week. On Thursday, it was dusty. But the rain on Friday, it wasn't a lot of rain, but it was enough just to make things more Ironman-ish.
Sure. You know, and Rodney, another thing, as we're hyping things up here, you started talking about the silly season, and, you know, I know some of the things that are happening. I know some of the things that are going on. I don't know what is and isn't public knowledge and supposed to be talked about just yet, but I think I can make a prediction that, without getting myself in too much trouble, there's going to be some more top name teams here next year, some more factory teams here.
Well,
and
Johnny, I mean, whenever you look at it, there's only 3 other factories that aren't here right now. One's green, one's yellow, and one's red. I can tell you right now, I hear rumors that we're going to see red and we're going to see green next year.
You can say the colors. All I said was other teams.
That right there. I mean,
well, we do have actually, red is here.
Red is here. Yes.
We have red, but we may see a bigger presence of red next year,
and on the ATV side of things a little bit too. So that's pretty interesting.
Yep. And well, you know, with all of that happening, that means more rides for more riders. So these guys right now are pushing hard. And they're trying to, you know, cement themselves if they're already on the short list, because a lot of these deals that we're talking about, although we know the teams are coming in, we don't necessarily know who the riders are, because although they've
Hey, Mikey is with Ryan Sipes. I know he started out strong. Let's see what happened.
Well, guys, yeah, down here with Ryan Sipes. Ryan, man, not how you wanted to finish off the GNCC today.
No, not at all. It's a bummer. I felt good. It was cool to pull that whole shot, and actually, besides the little mistakes, like as soon as we went in the woods, I hit a deep rut, got stuck, and then had a little tip over. But I felt when I was on the bike, I felt good. Like I was going fast, and I was catching dudes and passing them, and I got. It's not all their fault, but I got pointed in a bad line down there, and I went over the bars and hit a tree and a bunch of things, and I'm super sore. So bummer to end it that way, but I got 6 days to look forward to.
That's exactly right, man. Well, what's in store for you? Well, obviously 6 days, but then moving forward in that, are you going to have another Ryan Sipes like 2019?
That's the plan. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, man. Good to see you out here. Thanks for coming. Join us at the GNCC, man. Heal up, Ryan Sipes down here. And also a quick update for you. I know it's been a little bit, but when they came through the pits, it was Toth out in front, Ben Kelly. I did the Johnny Gallagher method where I picked a spot. I counted 9 seconds. It may be shorter than that now, the distance between them. Maybe bigger, I don't know. But that's what I had on Ben Kelly up to Josh Toth in first place.
All right, Mikey, thank you for that update. And, you know, it's interesting they say that 9 seconds because it was only 3 seconds when they checked in at scoring. And I agree. It appears that Josh Toth is stretching that gap out little by little. When we last saw him on camera, the gap might have been more than 9 seconds. So, you know, all this hype, everybody hyping up Ben Kelly that he's the guy, you know, obviously knowing they've got that XC2 title on the line. You know, maybe Josh Toth is going with the plan of, hey, I'm going to sprint, I'm going to try and break him, I'm going to try and win the race. And in the case of the points and where they're at with the championship, all Josh Toth can personally be accountable for is winning the race. There's nothing else he can do. If he does that, that's all he can do, and he'll know he's done all he can do. So I think that is maybe what he's trying to do right now, put that world-class sprint speed to work, see if he can possibly break Ben Kelly, but I don't think Ben Kelly's going to give up too easy. We'll see how this one pans out. We've got about an hour and a half racing left, a little less than that actually, about an hour and 20 minutes left is what it's going to work out to be. A 6-lap race is what it's looking like on paper, and now this one's going to be very near 3 hours. Oh, we got some XC3 action on screen. That is Luke Rensland. Look at him leaning back, letting that 125 eat, and I believe that might be Jake Froman that he's battling with.
Wow, so a little bit better conditions than what he's probably been used to being here at Ironman motocross track, so he's going to let her rip.
And did you notice he looked real comfortable on that moto track?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He's got a few laps around some moto tracks in his day.
Oh, 1 or 2, I think. But, yeah, good to see things going in that direction. Good to see Luke out here with us, kind of a prelude to what we may be seeing in 2018 likely. And, of course, right now going down through some of these names, we've been talking a lot about XC1, XC2 top riders. Have you gone down through our XC2 250
we went back as far as 6th.
All right, well, taking a little further look back, we got Austin Lee, the 123, back in 7th. Jonathan Johnson is 8th. Brendan Riordan is 9th. But Ryder Lafferty is 10th. And Ryder, it seems like he's been here quite a bit this season. And Ryder, actually, nephew to one of our former GNCCs, Michael Lafferty. He was, a top national enduro rider, and he was a top GNCC racer. Actually won a lot of national enduro championships. Good to see Ryder continuing the family tradition, so to speak. I kind of look for things maybe to start shaking loose for him. If he can keep things focused and keep things pointed forward, I think we're going to see bigger and better things out of him in the future in this XC2 class.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryder Lafferty, a name to keep watching in the future. A great pedigree. The entire Lafferty family has been great in enduros. And Mike Lafferty was really the only one that was able to cross over to GNCC and have some success, winning some races back in the early 2000s on a factory KTM. And he was one of the first riders that actually was winning on a 4-stroke in GNCC when a lot of the guys were still on 252 strokes. So Mike Lafferty was a trailblazer in a lot of ways in GNCC, and now his nephew, as you said, Ryder Lafferty out here. And there we see Braxton McGee, the 887 machine. That is another one of our XC2 riders, a rider we've seen step up. Oh, and there we see Stu Baylor on screen and up the hill. We're waiting on the 739 JCR Honda of Trevor Bollinger, was just a few seconds behind, and there he is. Bollinger is really charging. You know he wants to get back to that rear wheel. We actually saw him make the pass on Stu Baylor in the pits just a little while ago, but now Baylor's been able to get back around, and he's starting to stretch it out a little bit over top of Bollinger. Is this our third-place rider, Ricky Russell? Nope.
No, that's not Ricky, but Ricky should. Wow, that gap is starting to open up back to the third-place position, and that's even better news.
Oh, look at this. Josh Strang taking over the third-place spot.
Wow. That's pretty good stuff right there for Strang, and though he may be 30 seconds or so behind the second-place ride out there, that's good news for Josh. He's finally starting to find his flow and his groove out here, and this could mean some big things. Remember what we saw with John Penton. He really dug deep, came from the back of the pack to take a very impressive finish there earlier this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even the last couple of rounds, Josh Strang has really been charging hard coming up. Now, there is Josh Toth, the #1 FMF KTM, and we'll see where is Ben Kelly. That is not 9 seconds, but that is also not Ben Kelly. That is Pascal Rocknicker. So Ben Kelly has no longer been able to catch the draft of Josh Toth. He has stretched it out now. Josh Toth has. He's got the lead. He's hard on the throttle. And again, maybe trying to put that pressure on Kelly. Maybe going over after the overall, or maybe be trying to put that pressure on to break Kelly to see if he can cost him enough points, and he's able to potentially battle for that XC2 championship. I believe 19 points is the gap as they came into this event. So we'll see if how that one shakes out here.
Well, I'll tell you what, pretty exciting things going on around here. Mikey Waynes has got his thumb on the pulse of it all.
Yeah, guys, down here, I caught DQ in the KTM pits. I said I got to talk to DQ, man. Hey, last time I saw you, you and I were having some fun at a straight rhythm pit bike race. This is a little different today.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot more serious than the last time we were together, I guess you could say.
That's for sure, man. Well, what brings you out to Ironman today? We saw you pitting one of the riders, I believe, from South Africa.
Yeah, I was here helping Bradley Cox, a kid from South Africa. I met him over at ISDE a few years ago, and he texted me and said, hey, I'm coming to America. I was like, oh, I'll help you out, no problem, you know. Did that. We also had the vendor booth with Spike's KTM and sold some T-shirts and helped some people out. Heck, I had to go back to the shop last night at about midnight to get a time cert kit to fix a guy's strip drain plug. So we made it all happen, and everybody got to race, so it all worked out good.
DQ, good to see you, man. DQ, a Hoosier legend right here.
All righty, thanks a lot, Mikey. And Stu Baylor continuing to lead this one, an hour and 42 minutes into this race. Trevor Bollinger running second. Time adjustment has Josh Toth in third. Ben Kelly in fourth, and Ricky Russell rounds out the top five. But physically, we saw just a moment ago, Josh Strang has moved into the number 3 spot. How's this all going to pan out? What's going to take place? Are we going to see the excitement we anticipate? Stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
The halfway point is here, and these riders have endured over an hour now of hard battling through the woods at extremely high heart rates. The type the average athlete couldn't even fathom for this level of distance. Can they stick with it to the end? Don't click that X. GNCC Live on RacerTV.com continues after this.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on Racer TV is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, Rocky Mountain ATVMC, get ready, and Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations.
Eye-opening. Being from Australia, I guess our national series may have 150 to 200 riders, and you come here, any Australians come here and they're just amazed at how many people and how big the series is. So I would say eye-opening, but now being here for so long, I would say gnarly. So I mean, we do it because we get paid to do it. But man, I see some of these people, just the average punter coming out every race, every weekend. I got some friends from North Carolina. He's raced every race this year, and I'm like, you're crazy. It's a man's sport. I mean, even though there's women's class in the morning, they're tough as well. You know, it's I don't know. Just GNCC racing is gnarly. You gotta be hardcore motorcycle rider to come and race these things. I'm Josh Strang, and you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
Well, Back here at Crawfordsville, Indiana, my friends. A beautiful October Sunday afternoon, and boy, is it a chilly one, and a very beautiful place. An hour and, what are we looking at? An hour and 46 minutes now into this scheduled near 3-hour-long race. So about an hour and 15 minutes of racing left to go here in Crawfordsville. You know, we talk about this being the 24th annual running of this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC, and with that, you know, we've become very familiar and very close-knit in the community of Crawfordsville, Indiana, and Montgomery County. And with that, of course, we always like to kind of let people know where we are, the kind of cool things that are in and around where we're at. Well, we did just exactly that on Friday as Mikey Waynes and the crew went out and checked out what was going on around Montgomery County.
Mikey Waynes here, joined alongside Can-Am's Hunter Miller, the points leader in the XC1 Pro UTV class. Well, here we are, the last round of the GNCC, historic Ironman Raceway, which played host just a few short months ago to Pro Motocross. Eli Tomac finished out the championship on the 450 class, and Hunter?
That's right. Former GNCC youth rider Aaron Plessinger also wrapped up his championship.
Pretty historic stuff here at Ironman Raceway. It also is another point in history. The end, the season finale, series finale, if you will, of the Pro UTV class. Hunter, you're leading that one. What are your thoughts coming into this weekend?
You know, they're bittersweet. It is the last one. It's awesome to be leading the points. If I can go down as the final champion ever, that'd be a great thing. But, you know, I wish there were more years to come, but, you know, be nice to be number one forever. Absolutely.
Well, what does it mean to you to cap off the season here at Ironman Raceway? I mean, this place, it's just something about Ironman Raceway. Things are a little bigger. It's a little brighter out here.
That's right. Not bright today. But,
maybe not the weather.
No, that's right. This place is just known for being the final round for a lot of series, you know, Pro Motocross being one of them, GNCC being another. It's great. I mean, Indiana's an awesome place to visit, and hopefully tomorrow goes well.
Well, that's going to do it for us down here. We'll take it back to the guys in the booth.
Well, that's the greatest thing happening in Montgomery County right now in Crawfordsville is the Ironman Raceway. And like Mikey Waynes pointed out, there has been and always seems to be a lot of historical things that take place. Will there be history made here this weekend? Yes, there already has been. Will there be something new in history made, something historical in this motorcycle race today? I'm leaning towards yes, but we'll find out. Eek.
If we got the Matrix grabbing another rider, there was nothing but legs and elbows flying everywhere. Here we go. He's made it up. He's through, and he's second-guessing his decision to go through that Matrix rather than just take the mulch pile around.
Well, here we are down near the Ironman Hill again, and with that, riders slowly traversing this part of the racetrack. You can see that the toll is starting to be taken by some of these riders as they're not riding nearly as aggressively as they do earlier in the race. And good thing we've got a couple of different option lines up this hill because it could get kind of hairy and scary if that weren't the case.
And there is Jesse Ansley, our XC3 125 Pro Class leader, FMF XC3 125 Pro Class. He is still leading that, the 37 machine. And I don't believe this is one of our XC3 guys. No, that was looked to be an XC2 rider, possibly with the green background there. So Ansley looks like he's opened up a little bit of a gap. We know Jake Froman was close, as was Luke Rensland. The top three were all pretty close. Cody Barnes as well was right in that, the last we had seen. Don't know now that those guys have checked in with 3 laps complete, that exactly how that one's shaken out, but we have not seen our second place XC3 Pro Lights class, or FMF XC3 Pro 125 class. That's what it is. Man, we got the lights, we got the XC1. The season's almost over. My brain is mush.
FMF XC3 125 Pro Am.
There we go. Boom, nailed it. And that's why they pay Rodney the big bucks, folks.
I can read. There
is Stu
Baylor
right there.
Yep.
On screen, Stu Baylor is your leader. We'll get a gap. We were at 30 seconds as they came through that fence, and we'll see what the gap is back to Trevor Bollinger. Last we knew it was 9 seconds. We have now eclipsed that, so it looks like Stu Baylor starting to extend the lead here. He is up to 13, 14, 15, 16 seconds and still counting. There is Bollinger. We're looking at about 20 seconds on the dot is what the gap is from your leader. Now that possibly means that Trevor Bollinger may fall back into the clutches of Josh Toth in those overall positions.
Well, that could possibly be the case, Johnny, and we'll just have to wait with bated breath to find out, as we will be seeing this lap conclusion in about 5 minutes or so. They should be checking in, and we'll know whether or not...
Whoa!
Wow.
That is Ben Kelly. He's gotten back around Josh Toth. That's why we didn't see him last time. He is physically third overall. He has passed Josh Strang. He has passed Ricky Russell, and he has taken over the lead in that XC2 Pro Lights class. And, folks, he is checking out from Josh Toth. We thought we saw Josh Toth checking out from Ben Kelly. Here is Toth. A good 10 seconds back of Kelly. Still a phenomenal ride, and probably in the top, for sure in the top 4 overall, potentially in the top 3. But we may see Ben Kelly closing the gap back up in that overall lead. He may be your overall leader again.
Did we see Ricky Russell or Josh Strang come through there?
We did. Josh Strang was right behind Ben Kelly,
okay.
and Ricky Russell was right behind Josh Strang. So it was Kelly, Strang, Russell, wheel to wheel to wheel, as Bjorn Hamrick would say.
So basically, Ben Kelly at least has third place position
folks,
right
that
now.
is not Stu Baylor on screen there. That is a lapped rider. We're waiting and we're watching for Stu Baylor. He will be coming out of the moto track here in just a moment. The 514 Teely Energy Racing machine. He should be coming around that corner any moment now. He had just a little bit to go there until he could work his way through. He's probably on the backside. There's some tricky hill climbs and some creeks that he's traversing his way through to get his way in.
Rolling through an hour now and nearly 53 minutes, working on that hour and 53 minute mark. So we're almost 2/3 of the way through this race right now. And wow, still a little over an hour or so to go before we'll be able to establish a Ironman GNCC winner for 2018. It's been pretty exciting so far. Ben Kelly and Josh Toth running first and second overall for the first lap and a half, 2 laps or so there, and then all of a sudden Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger were able to make up that time out there. Stu Baylor really putting together a couple of good pushes out there that lofted him into the #1 position physically and overall on time adjustments. Bollinger running about 13.5 seconds back. He is now 20 seconds back, according to the last check that we had, coming through about the 11.5 mile marker. And as we said, Ben Kelly has physically moved into third overall on the track, and he's physically third, and we expect at least third place on time adjustments. The big question is he more than that minute back, or is he within that minute, which will obviously put him in contention for that first or second place position?
Unless something changes from the last time we saw him on screen, he is for sure going to pass Trevor Bollinger on corrected time, because he was only maybe 30 some odd seconds back of Bollinger, which puts him, if Bollinger was 20 seconds back of Baylor, that would put him back ahead of Stu Baylor in the overall. But again, we weren't running a clock on that. We were only keeping a clock back to Trevor Bollinger, which we know is 20 seconds back exactly of Stu Baylor. And just kind of guessing, I think Kelly was maybe 30 seconds back of Bollinger. So we may see Ben Kelly up in that overall position once again. We could actually see Josh Toth into the top 3 because he was not that far back of Ben Kelly. My prediction, based off what we saw, is we're going to see Ben Kelly as the overall leader. We're going to see Stu Baylor second. We're going to see Josh Toth third. And we're going to see Trevor Bollinger bump back to that 4th place spot. But it's going to be within seconds one way or another for sure.
It's going to be tight. I know, like we said last time, we were only looking at a 2-second difference between Josh Toth and Trevor Bollinger on adjusted time, and a lot of things happened over the course of this, near 14-mile racetrack, I guess it is today?
Yeah, it's there's actually a 14-mile marker. I think it's the first time I've ever seen that out on a GNCC track. Maybe it was a 13-mile marker, but
no, it was 14. Actually,
yeah.
Bolton was mentioning that today. He has first time since he's been working here, he's actually posted a 14-mile marker. Not that they haven't had a 14-mile track with some changes and stuff.
Yep.
But he said this is the first time they ever laid it out as a 14-mile
Yeah, and
track.
a great track at that too. Not only is it long, it's well laid out, flows. The dirt is about perfect. The conditions are epic today for GNCC Racing, minus that little bit of drizzle on the screen, but hey, we're tough. Now there is Stu Baylor, the 514 T-Lee Racing KTM. He is hard on the throttle, and he is charging, folks. He knows. He's probably getting pit boards saying, hey, Bollinger's not that far back from you, and there's some XC2 kid that is really trying to run you down. Baylor, in his very, I guess you would say, picturesque riding style, he just lays into those corners, puts the weight to the rear wheel, and drops the hammer. We get to pause it and see it on screen for just a little longer.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty right there. Stu Baylor, again, leading this physically as we approach the conclusion of lap number 4 now. We are theorizing that we will see a 2-lap board when they come around this time around. And lost me internet there for a moment, but there is Stu. He's in and out. Lap time that time, 30 minutes and 4 seconds.
There he is, jumping that downhill backwards double. He's out there on that Ironman moto track, using those ruts. You know he's revving that KTM to the moon right now, trying to get that lapper out of the way, saying, come on, man, I got a race to win. I need to go, and you're in my way.
And he gets by.
He does. Makes the pass. Little scrub action there,
too. A little scrubbing, yeah. Now, one thing to point out, these guys, though they're woods riders, even you, Johnny, as an ATV woods rider, you guys do a lot of practice on moto tracks, so motocross tracks are not unfamiliar to a woods racer.
Absolutely. Your top guys spend quite a bit of time on a moto track, and we've seen firsthand, Caleb Russell finishing motos inside the top 5 at an outdoor national this year at Unadilla, and I mean, definitely the speed is there. Speaking of speed, Trevor Bollinger pouring the speed to it right now. The 739 JCR Honda rider is still chasing Stu Baylor as we update that. What do we have, folks?
Ben Kelly out front, Stu Baylor in second, Josh Toth in third, just like you called, Johnny Gallagher.
Hey, it's not that hard. You just got to watch the clock on the top of the screen. But I like when it makes me look smart.
Yeah,
so Ben Kelly, he had the early lead overall, and now he has wrestled it away from Stu Baylor once again. You know who's not going to be happy about that?
Stu Baylor?
Stu Baylor. Stu Baylor is he will literally break the throttle cable off of that T-Lee Racing KTM, trying to scrub up the speed he needs to get back ahead of Ben Kelly. He does not want to have him win the overall.
Man, I tell you, Ben Kelly must have a very fast line out there because he made up the time on Josh Toth, got around him, made the pass, and then stretched out 22 seconds over him. He turned a 29-minute, 31-second lap time. That is 33 seconds faster than Stu Baylor. Wow. Now, here's the question. I mean, I get it. I really get it. I mean, I know that the speeds are possible. Obviously, we've seen it in the past, but can they continue to maintain these kind of speeds for the entire duration of this race? Man, we're in getting ready to hit the 2-hour mark right now. That's the hard spot, and I think maybe we might have, and you might have pointed it out earlier today, that's where we saw some things start to slip away from Ben and Josh in the last couple of races, but I wonder if that's going to be the case today.
Actually, what it seems to be with specifically Ben, he's got a great pace, and he just continues to run that pace to the end of the race. The interesting thing, watching Ben Kelly when he finishes a race, here's a guy that will charge the last couple corners just like it's the first part of the race, like he's sprinting. But when he comes across the finish line, it's like someone pulls the extension cord. I've never seen a rider who's able to deplete themselves like that, come across the finish line and literally, and this guy is not acting. You can see it on his face. You can see it the way his muscles are contracting. He rides himself inside out. Trevor Bollinger on screen coming through the mud here. This may be...
Right
this is on the backside of the pro pits there. So they're coming. We'll see him coming through here any moment. But, yes, Ben Kelly, it's crazy the way he is able – now, wait a minute. Josh Strang has gotten back around Ben Kelly?
Would there be some pit stopping going on right now?
Whoa. Ben Kelly is through. Did we miss Stu Baylor, or is Ben Kelly taking over the physical overall?
All right.
Mikey, I got no camera guy, but I can tell you guys, Stu Baylor did come through the pits. He had to pit. He got fuel. Ben Kelly's pitting right now. And Toth is going to be pitting right behind him. In addition to that, Trevor Bollinger also
Ricky Russell down in VP Fuels Pro Row. He took a water bottle and took a big crash right at the end of VP Fuels Pro Row, took a water bottle and went down.
Wow. Well, Mikey, sounds like some pretty exciting stuff down there. So Stu did not stop, but Ben Kelly did, and Josh Toth is stopping, right?
No, to correct you on that, Stu Baylor did stop. Stu Baylor got fuel, goggles, the whole 9 yards, as did Ben Kelly and Josh Toth. And you heard it there. Sounds like you guys got to see Ricky Russell take that tumble. I believe Trevor Bollinger also did pit on that lap.
Did you see that, Rodney, when those guys were coming? Whoa, that was a bad line.
Mercy sakes, where is this?
That's right behind VP Fuels Pro Row.
Oh my gosh, I saw the ATVs going through this yesterday. It was nothing like this. Look at that, all the way up past the rear tire. That could be a game changer. That could change the face of this race in the blink of an eye.
And they will only have to go through there one more time, because they won't have to go through there, even though we have 2 laps remaining. They've already come through this section, so the next time they come through, it'll be the white flag. So next lap through will be the last lap through this section. But we can't really see off camera. To the left of our camera shot, the right as you're on the track, there are some good lines over there. But right now, these guys are taking the real bad lines. Now, there's a safe line. You can go all the way out and around, but you lose a lot of time.
Well, you lose a lot of time if you don't make it also.
There is Grant Baylor. He took that line to the right we were just talking about, made it up through. But it looked like he was struggling. That's a tough section there, Rodney.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that bike right there is buried in. It's actually suctioned in right now. So you know that's tough stuff right there for sure. That's one of our XC3 riders also.
The number 414 machine, it looks like.
I believe, I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because I know I'm probably wrong in saying it. But anyway, we'll scroll down through and we'll find this guy in the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. The 114 machine is piloted by
414.
414, I'm sorry.
Looks like maybe not in there.
Might not have been an XC2 rider or an XC3 rider then.
Whoever he is, he's real stuck, and he's getting some help right now, and they're pointing the other guys out and around because they're saying, hey.
Man, there's a lot of lines, option lines out there.
He is exhausted. Look at him. He's giving it all he can.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, surprisingly, only one person helping. Where are the GNCC mud fleas?
It's late in the season. They're tired. They're giving it all they had all year. Oh, look at that line. That's one of the Teely Racing boys. That's the 541 machine, who many times this year we have mistaken for Stu Baylor.
Yeah.
And that was a heck of a line. Jumped that log right into the middle of the mud, hopped through, and he was out of there.
Wow, what a heartbreaker right here. I mean, this, how do you get something like that unstuck? I mean, and I mean, obviously that's a tough row to hoe right there. I mean, you deplete all your energy, you exert everything you have. Wow, I mean, that might be a situation where you're just going to have to sit and wait till the track crew comes around, grabs it with a winch or something.
And that really shows you know, these tracks are tough. They have a whole lot going on. We see our pro riders that seem to make it look effortless at times, although we see even them struggle. But what you can't tell on camera is these tracks are difficult, they're technical. If you pick a bad line, you can really put yourself in a bad way. And a lot of these guys are newer to GNCC racing. They're amateur riders that are just kind of cutting their teeth. And, you know, for them, these tracks are really a handful.
No doubt. And as we take a look at the overall right now, riders coming in for that 4th lap complete, we've got our top 15 or so from the top 20 overall. Again, Ben Kelly leading Stu Baylor, Josh Toth, Trevor Bollinger, and Josh Strang, your top 5. Ricky Russell is 6th. Rockenecker in 7th. Grant Baylor is 8th. Lane Michael 9th. And Craig DeLong rounds out your top 10. Also got to give credit where credit is due, and Mike Witkowski, I think, and Craig DeLong. They're running 3rd and 4th right now. There's only a second separating those two. They're 3 minutes and 38 seconds from 1st and 2nd, but only a second separating them in that battle for that 3rd place position in the XC2 class.
I'll tell you what, and here they are on screen. There is Craig DeLong, the number 8 Coastal Racing Husqvarna. It looks like maybe Witkowski spent some time in the pits because we haven't seen him come by yet. There he is. Can't miss that racing helmet. That thing really jumps out on that factory beta, and he's hard on the throttle. He's chasing after Craig DeLong and also chasing after potentially a podium position here today. Witkowski's a rider we've seen really working hard this year. It's been a struggle of a year for him at times, but often running inside the top 5 overall would be great for him to chip away at a podium today.
No doubt about that. And, of course, taking a look at some of these other classes and podium spots, that guy's still stuck out there. Looking at Ben Parsons leading the Open A class. This is after 3 laps of racing complete and only an 8-second lead over the 36 of Connor Smith out of North Carolina. Sammamish Washington is home to Eric Geis, 3:19. He is 2 minutes and 6 seconds back in that number 3 position of the Open A class. As we take a look at those podium spots here, winding down in this
There
last
we go.
hour.
There's your mud fleas, Rodney. They just came to work. They just clocked in.
They just clocked. They weren't expecting to have to do this, I don't think, to be honest with you. But see how simple it is whenever you get a few people together and work together.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does, but that poor guy, I don't think he's spent. He's spent. That is actually the 411 that we're looking at out there. That is a different number on his motorcycle than actually, and that's Matt Harrington. He is a FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am rider. He checked in 12th place in the class there out of Partyville.
High five in the camera guy, getting a little love. Hey, you're on Racer TV, Matt. Might not have been the race you turned out, but you got your 15 minutes of fame. You were stuck there almost 15 minutes, and I'm sure he'll be back here to try another FMF XC3 race in the future.
He's from Partyville, Wisconsin.
Maybe a little too much Partyville last night.
Spelled P-A-R-D-E-E, Bill.
Nonetheless, too much Partyville, too much Easton Corbin, and he picked a bad line. Boy, they need to put something across that line that says "Do not take," because that is a bad route there.
Well, Matt Harrington certainly got his 15 minutes of fame in that mud hole today, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, no, don't do it. Oh, well, that must have been one line over from where he was at. I thought we just had another, I thought we possibly had another victim for that hole. There it is to the right. That's the one that Matt Harrington was in. But, you know, these guys, again, these tracks are tough. These ruts, you know, especially when you start to get tired, they're committed to a rut, and it takes so much effort to change direction. It seems easier. I'll just gas her up and make it through there.
And continuing looking at some of these other classes as we check our podium spots out here and continue to watch the screen and point us in anything that comes up. But Dakota DeVore leading the 250A class out of Yerricksville, Ohio. Wow, 1.5 second over JoJo Bowden now out of East Amherst, New York. Those two have been going at it for a solid 3 laps now. That's another one of those exciting races. They got 1 minute and 27 seconds back to the 414 at Brewer Colley. That wasn't Brewer. That was Matt Harrington, who was actually the 411 from the XC3 class. But Lexington, South Carolina is where Brewer Colley is from, and he is currently running 3rd in that 250A class. As we look at the 200A class, your podium spots heading into the closing moments says Zach Davidson out of Iron Station, North Carolina, an 11.2 second lead over Chase Colville, the 318 out of West Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Farmington, Minnesota's Logan Kiddick, the 506, 0.723. He turned a 50-second faster lap than Chase Colville, and also about 30-some seconds faster than Zach Davidson. When we start looking at the time behind out there, wow, I think that we may have a new leader with Logan Kiddick if he's able to keep that pace in that 200A class after lap number 4 is complete, if he keeps that same pace that he had through that lap 3. 4-stroke A podium spots. It's Brody Johnson, the 235 out of Landrum, South Carolina, over the 258 of Bolton Bural from Faptown, North Carolina. 2 minutes and 42 seconds there with a 66 of Mike DeLosa from Gillette, PA. 32 seconds off the pace, rounding out the top 3. And as we check in with Junior AB, Dustin Ulrich from Trevorton, Pennsylvania, leading Nick Mellinger, the 480 out of Oakland, Maryland, 3 minutes and 21 seconds. And Devin Burks, the 159 from Indianapolis, another minute and 35 seconds back in that number 3 spot. Your Bet A class, Andrew Matusik is out front of Sam Forrester. They've had a heck of a battle waging since the drop of the green flag on this one. Now about 27 seconds in the favor of Matusik as he's able to stretch that out on lap 3. Brandon Forrester, the 539 from Bonne Terre, Missouri, rounds out the top 3 there in the Bet A class. Your Senior A class, and then we'll check in with some B class riders in a few moments. But your top 3 podium position finishers there right now. Frank Messina, he's in the lead. Shotgun Sean Remington has moved up from 3rd to 2nd now out of New Salem, PA, 58 seconds back. And Sean O'Leary, the 581, now in that number 3 position. And action back on the track. Okay, so, all right, let's go ahead. We got a little bit of time out here, so let's go ahead and hit some of these B classes. Top 3, the podium finishers, it looks like right now. Let's look at Evan Young in that open B class, the 4:39 from Brewster Mills, West Virginia, 2-minute and 31-second lead over Peyton Hard, the 2:22 from Stamping, Kentucky. I'm always thinking that's Stamping Ground, Kentucky. Logan, Ohio is home to Gas rider Jacob Barnes, the 5:02. He is in the third-place position now. Is that any relation to Cody Barnes, do you think there, Johnny?
I don't believe so, with Barnes being from Iowa, I
Okay,
believe.
that makes sense, yeah.
Or Illinois. I don't think there's a relation there, but possibly. You never know.
250B class, 5:18. Cole Whitmer from Amity, Pennsylvania moves ahead of Ian Flynn now, the 4:22 from Greensboro, PA, and now 1 minute and 37 seconds, while Kyle Prismont nearly 5 minutes back in third aboard the 122 in that 250B class. Looking next at the 200B class, we'll let the computer readjust itself here right now and give us an idea of what's going on there. It is Tanner Collins, the 481 from Crooksville, Ohio, with a near 7-minute lead. Yeah, you heard me right. 7 minutes over the 482 of Max Rust from Iron Station, North Carolina. Only 7 seconds back of him is the 380 of Tanner Kerfman here in the 200B class. 4-stroke B lights, Mac Reimer, the rider from Saxonburg, PA, 7:15. 1 minute and 42-second lead over the 7:14 of Jake Easler from Flat Rock, North Carolina. And Jeremy Custer, the 397 from Louisville, Kentucky, another 4:31 back in the number 3 spot. Up next, we take a look at the Bet B30 Plus. Matt Modick, the rider from Newberry, Ohio, 8:05, a 2-second lead over Miquez Gomez. Miquez Gomez was leading, as we figure, a lap ago. Ben Conaway has gotten, well, 1 minute and 1 second back now. I thought he was 1 second back. That's 1 minute and 1 second. So less than 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds actually separating first and second in the Bet B class. Ben Conaway back in the number 3 spot aboard the 911 out of Howard, Ohio, and that will be your podium spots in the Bet B class. Looking next at the Senior B class, Devin Ferguson, the 183 from Knoxville, Tennessee, a 1 minute 18-second lead over Tillman McDaniel, the 364 from Lexington, Kentucky, who has a near 2-minute lead over Cincinnati, Ohio's Tony Weisenhahn, the 491. And that will do it for our podium look and our podium peak here on lap number 3 for the amateurs, and at the 2-hour mark here. Of course, we'll look into that a little bit more maybe before we get to the end of it. But folks, I'll tell you what, we got big things going on out here, and watching this racing unfolds, like we said, over 2 hours, now 12 minutes added on to that 2-hour mark, and just inching our way toward the end of the 2018 season. You know, some of the highlights for me, Johnny, obviously come through RacerTV, and one of the cool things that I've got to see a lot this year has been able to go in and see behind the scenes of some of the operations. You know, we talk about MTV Cribs, well, we've got GNCC rigs, and I always like to see the diversity of the different rigs and the operations that people come to the races in. And this week, we caught up with one of your friends, Becca Sheets.
Hey guys, I'm Becca Sheets, and this is my rig. It's a 2018 Ford Transit Connect, and this is how we haul my bikes to the races. We get 28 miles to the gallon, and you really can't beat it. You can fit 2 bikes if you need to, and we just love it. We drive it all over the country all year long. Check it out. Hey guys, so here's my rig, and here's my bike. I ride a 2018 KTM 250 SXF in the WXC class. We race at 10 o'clock on Sundays. Well, here's where we work on the bike. We kind of just set it up in here, and we make sure we go over everything, make sure the chain's tight, make sure all the bolts are tight and torqued, and we always just give it one final check over before we head to the line. Over here we store our Maxima products, chain guard, suspension clean, you know, all the necessities. Over here we have all of our tools set up in case, you know, during the race we have a breakdown or anything needs repaired during that. And yeah, we just kind of keep it simple in here. I'm Becca Sheets, and you guys are watching GNCC Rigs on RacerTV.
Man, I tell you, these race bands nowadays, it's amazing what they can do. You know, we've seen so much in tiny houses, and, you know, you look at something on the outside, it looks so small, but when you get inside, it seems so big. That's a tiny rig right there. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
She's really perfected
all
that.
inside a Ford Transit van. The crazy part is that thing also has living quarters with a slide-out, 55-inch flat-screen TV. They didn't get a chance to show it all. They didn't have enough time.
Well, she spent too much time on the bike and tools and oil and stuff like that.
Yeah, but, you know, it's important. I mean, that's what it takes to get to the races and get there. So, you
28 miles to the gallon.
28 miles to the gallon with all that room in the shop, and like I said, 55-inch flat screen, slide out the whole 9 yards. So, like you said, very deceiving. And boy, the engineers these days, they just keep coming up with new stuff. And speaking of new stuff, I don't know exactly what's going on here. We've got a new section of track. It looks like they are rerouting the course here. There seems to have been a crash. We got the EMTs working on somebody, so they're rerouting the track. And keeping those EMTs and rider out of harm's way. This is our GNCC course. The course officials always keep things safe for everybody and keeps things headed in the right direction.
Well, I tell you, I'm sure these guys are probably scratching their head and wonder what's going on, but we got to tip our hat to these guys, man. I mean, they work so hard all weekend long, and we don't get to see these emergency situations that pop up, but sometimes something like that will happen, and they have to do things like that. And to be able to adjust the track and the situation, to keep the flow of the race going without any issues, that's pretty impressive stuff.
Absolutely. True professionals. They're prepared for every situation. They keep the riders, the fans, everyone safe. And that's what's great about GNCC, the largest off-road racing series in the world. Today, or this weekend, without a doubt, no question, will be the largest off-road race two-day event of its kind. 2,400 riders over the course of 2 days.
Wow.
The biggest GNCC ever, the biggest off-road race ever. This morning, 894 riders in the morning race. That one's not actually a record. Last year, 985.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, seems maybe some of those riders just stepped up the afternoon because the overall numbers are higher than they've ever been. The ATVs had phenomenal numbers this year.
I know, yes.
Ironman loves ATV racing. Ironman loves racing in general.
Yeah.
Indiana loves racing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, these professional course workers, I tell you what, folks, look at those leaves in the background. Blowing everywhere. The trees bent over. Rodney, we've been in a lot of conditions in GNCC racing over the years. We've even raced in snow, but I don't know that we've ever raced in wind gusts like this. They were calling for 40 to 45 mile-an-hour winds today.
Right, and, you know, that's a good point. You know, I have seen in motocross, I've been at some motocross races where we had some windstorms and stuff come in, but I don't ever remember, other than, 2005 at Steel Creek when we had the windstorm come in, but we weren't racing then. That came in overnight, so that doesn't count, I don't guess.
Yeah, I mean, during a race, I've been at nearly every GNCC since 1983. I don't recall. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I don't ever remember gusts like this. I mean, the damage in the easy ups and the awnings on motorhomes and trailers through the pits is pretty scary. I was coming back from the morning podium after the WXC podium, and I saw easy ups tumbling. I made a beeline for the trailer, and we saved most of it, but we had some damage to the rig. So nothing that can't be fixed. That's part of it. You know, we had it staked down, everything we could. But when you have 40 to 45 mile-an-hour wind gusts, you know, those things are like big sails. You see, even all the factory teams have taken their tents down. They're just pitting outside their rigs for the most part. And those guys have big, you know, steel structures that hold those things. But when you're talking 40, 45 mile-an-hour winds, for me, it really put things in perspective, even when you start hearing about hurricanes, you know, how damaging the winds can be. And I always think, like, man, it's just wind. You know, how bad could it be? If this is what 40 to 45 mile-an-hour winds feel like, I can't even imagine 120 mile-an-hour winds like they get in hurricanes, or even more in some cases.
Right. Yeah, that's... yeah, that... I can't. You're making me think about things I don't even want to think about. But you're right. That was some pretty wind. Now, with that, I have to wonder, would it affect? I mean, if we had a really strong windstorm during the race, do you think it could affect what's going on with the racing? I mean, it would blow a lot of stuff around, leaves, sticks, and things like that.
I mean, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if out in the woods there we're having debris blowing around. I mean, you got to remember, we've got course markings all over this place with banners and everything else that could potentially be getting picked up by this wind and blowing across in front of the riders. Another thing is, and you know, we see this more so in motocross, these riders, when they're out in the fields, these are crosswinds of 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Anybody that's ever done any cycling or riding a motorcycle on the street, you know, you get crosswinds of 10, 15 miles an hour, it'll change you lanes. Imagine what 40 to 45 miles an hour would do. You know, these guys might be at the 6 mile marker, get a big gust of wind, and next thing you know, they're at the 8. They got to turn around and go back because they don't want to cut the course.
Well, there's another heartbreak story right there going on. This one for the Formula 409 machine. Wow, what a heartbreaker there for that rider.
He's going to need some 409 to clean that thing up after this one. He's looking around. He's like, where's all the mud fleas at? I need help. Oh, no, we got another one, but he's going to be able to hammer down and get out of that rut. It's a deep one, but I don't think our 409 rider.
200A class rider Colton Barlow from Monument, Colorado in that 200A class. He is currently on his 4th lap. He has 3 laps down. Let's see how he's doing in the class itself and what kind of effect this may have on his standings in the 200A class here. 409, Colton Barlow is running 10th place in the class, and wow, 16 minutes and 10 seconds behind 9th place. This could explain why if you're starting to hit mud holes like that, Johnny. So yeah, tough break there for Colton Barlow, and I think this may be his first GNCC run. I don't recognize that name off the top of my head, and this might be the first time we've ever seen Colton at a GNCC. So he's getting a taste of it firsthand right there, and a little memory for him here on RacerTV to take home to the folks back there in Colorado.
Absolutely. Colton, welcome to GNCC Racing. We hope you make the trek back. Colorado's a long way away, and it just goes to show, I mean, this is an event that pulls people, not just pulls riders, I mean, it pulls riders out of retirement. It pulls, there is Stu Baylor on screen. He has got the lead. That is not Trevor Bollinger behind him, so Baylor through, looked like he was through there at about 22:06, or sorry, 21:06. So it's been about 10 seconds since he's been through, and look at this, folks. Ben Kelly only, what,
wow,
14 seconds behind Stu Baylor physically. Ben Kelly, and look at that. Trevor Bollinger has latched on to Ben Kelly, pulled himself back to within 15 seconds of Stu Baylor.
Wow.
So now this becomes not only a battle for the overall, and at this point, I hate to say it, but it's no longer a battle. Ben Kelly has this one well in hand, minus a mistake. He's got nearly a 50-second lead in this overall, but now Trevor Bollinger has latched on to Kelly, and he's pulled himself back up nearly to within sight of Stu Baylor. And if they can get up to him there, this should be Josh Strang. It is the 114 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna of Josh Strang, physically 4th on the racetrack and 3rd in that XC1 Pro class.
Well, I may eat my words here about Ben Kelly in this final hour. 29:31 last time, 33 seconds faster than your leader and anyone else in the race today. He's backing it up out there, man. I mean, we're about we're less than 4 minutes now, or right at 4 minutes away from seeing these top riders check in, or at least Stu Baylor check in for lap number 5 complete, and I believe that would be a white flag for him on that occasion. But yeah. It's not long. We're going to find out just exactly what that lap time is. Can he keep that pace? And then he's got one more lap to try to hang it out in. But at the same time, all he's got to do is hang out in a comfort zone and still win the overall today.
Let me tell you what I would do if I was Ben Kelly. And since I have one race win to my credit, I am qualified to say this. I would push my guts out for the next few miles until I see that white flag. I would go, oh, wow, that does not look good, Rodney. He dropped the front wheel in that ditch, and now he no longer has the front end of a motorcycle. It has been taken from him, and the mud does not intend. Oh, it's going to give it back. No, it's not giving it back.
He's ate it.
He's going to need some mud fleas. The Beta guys are over there saying, look, bud, we'll help you get through here, but you put yourself in a bad situation.
Well, that's Rachel Goodish there, I believe. That's from our women's class earlier today.
Oh, wow. He really stuck the front end in there.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what exactly they're going to do to get that thing out of there. But back to the Ben Kelly thing. Physically 2nd on the track. Corrected time, he will be leading this by some 45 seconds, possibly more. There we see Antti Kallinen stepping in a rut, trying to make a way through for these guys because they're going to be coming here. And as you said, about 4 minutes. We'll see them, about 6 minutes, we'll see them here at this section. They're stepping in the rut. They're trying to make a way to make these guys be able to get through here without getting stuck. They're going to pack the mud back into the rut to try and stop these guys from dropping all the way to their foot pegs and burying their machines. But if Kelly is able to get physically up to in sight of Stu Baylor or to the rear wheel of Baylor, what you do at that point, you don't try to make the – well, there's two actually things going on here. He's got to go fast enough because Josh Toth is not all that far behind him, maybe some 20 seconds. So if Toth is able to get up there, Kelly has to keep pushing. But as long as he's got a comfortable gap on Toth, he just needs to sit right there behind Stu Baylor because at that point he's got the race won by some 59 seconds.
Now, I know we talked about a championship here in the XC2 class. What is that breaking down like? We need to take a look at those points.
19 points was the gap between Ben Kelly and Josh Toth. So
that's a pretty big margin. Unless something happens to Josh Toth, he should have this one pretty much dialed in, I think.
Yeah, Ben Kelly.
Oh, Ben Kelly. Oh, he had the 19
yes,
point.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Ben Kelly
wow.
has the 19-point
so
advantage.
So we got a new champion, basically, is what we're going to be looking at.
And as long as they're, he's able to make it to the finish line, and within, let's see, 19 points would be roughly 9 points from first to third, another 3 points back from there, 12 to fourth, and then you'd be looking at 1 point from there on back. So I believe Ben Kelly probably only needed about a 7th place position in this one to secure, actually maybe even not even that many. It might have been 7th or 8th place position is all he needs in that XC2 Pro Lights class to clinch this championship. But again, he's not showing the signs of a guy who's worried about a championship today. He's not sitting back there. I mean, with the 3-minute and 38-second gap over third place, he doesn't even, he could literally just put it in cruise control for this last lap and ride around and pick up his championship. But, he's pushing it. He sees the potential for the first ever XC2 Pro Lights overall win, and he's not letting up on it. He's giving it all he can to try and make that happen today.
I was talking with some folks earlier, and there's Stu Baylor making his way in, and they asked me, have we ever had an XC2 guy win an overall motorcycle side of things? I was thinking that Caleb Russell had done it, but now that I talked to you a little bit more, you're right. He comes so very close a couple of times, but wasn't able to do it, so only happening in the quads. But right here is the 514 Stu Baylor. He's coming in for lap number 5 complete, physically in the lead on this racetrack. That should be a white flag he's taken. Now we're going to see what's going to take place. 30 minutes and 30 seconds there for him was his lap time. Will we see
There is Kelly. We just missed him. Man. He's to the right of the screen there if our camera can pan right. We did miss Kelly. There is Trevor Bollinger. He is the 2nd place rider in XC2. Kelly should have just checked in. There he is. You see him in the background checking in and out. So 2nd place physically on the track. And the overall leader is still Ben Kelly, the 530 machine. Trevor Bollinger checked in now in 2nd place in that XC1 Pro class. And here is, this should be Josh Strang. It is the 114 Factory Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. And he is physically 3rd in that XC1 Pro class, but is 4th overall once they, physically 4th as well, because Ben Kelly's worked his way all the way up to 2nd physically.
Well, Ben Kelly is leading this one, 30-minute, 10-second lap time.
There is Kelly.
As we watch him on the moto track, he had a 30-minute and 10-second lap time that time. Stu Baylor, a 30-30. Trevor Bollinger, a 30-26. So he picked it up a little bit. Josh Toth, a 29-57. So, that was last time around. So let's see where Toth is now that we update this and see. Toth is actually 3rd overall and 46 seconds back. He had a 30-34 lap time that time himself. So, man, Kelly is still continuing to push the envelope out there and keep those faster lap times. If we look at the deficit in elapsed time right now, 2 hours, 25 minutes, 56 seconds for Kelly, 2 hours, 26 minutes and 30 seconds for Stu Baylor. So that's about a 34-second difference between Kelly and Baylor as far as the overall is concerned. And under these white flag conditions, man, we know a lot of things can happen. Anything can happen. Baylor could find himself a little strength and a little speed out there. Could be some mistakes made. Josh Toth could surprise us all here today. And, hey, never count out Trevor Bollinger either. He's been within striking distance a lot this season. At Tomahawk this year, how hungry and how much he desired to win. And he fought so hard. And if he fights like he fought that day, we could see some pretty interesting things happen by the time the checkers fly here. Going to estimate somewhere in the neighborhood of about 28.5 minutes or so.
And with 28 minutes left of racing, Rodney, that is a lot of time, that is a lot of track, and a lot can happen. So we don't need to go hand in Ben Kelly this overall win yet. We don't, any of these guys in the top 5, we just can't count them out. So many things can happen, so many variables, and such a crazy Ironman racetrack this weekend.
It most certainly is. And again,
there we go. Sorry, Stu Baylor on screen charging through that water. He's not taking any chances. He's giving her all he's got. He knows he's got to stretch that out to 1 minute and 1 second over Ben Kelly.
I tell you, it's kind of one of those shot in the dark type things. You know, they come up on this area where it doesn't look as wet, but the ruts are so deep, and they're taking the right side where it looks wetter, and you would think would be stickier to go through, but there actually is a little more solid ground there.
Now, Trevor Bollinger has gotten around Ben Kelly. They're telling him where to go. Ben Kelly now looking like he's starting to play it just a little bit more cautiously. Oh, no, the 5 on his jersey is missing. Ben Kelly went down somewhere.
Well, that's a possibility and likelihood, I guess, here in GNCC Racing. Didn't seem to be nearly as aggressive through that part of the track, so maybe he's taking a couple moments to re-sort himself. Mikey Wayne sounds like he might have an update on this.
Hey, guys, I don't think we got a camera shot down here, but we got Ben Kelly in the pits right now. They're spraying off the bike, and it looks like that front tire is coming off.
And
Ben Kelly,
the wheels are coming off to run at an overall win right now. Folks, hate to say it, but if Ben Kelly is changing a front wheel, that eliminates his chances at an overall win. They're doing the right thing. They know he needs to be in the top 10 in that XC2 Pro Lights class. So if he's having an issue that could prevent him from possibly finishing that lap, it would cost him a championship. But that pit stop just cost him a chance at a win.
Mikey, what's going on? What happened?
Ben Kelly here, he said he's not sure what's going on, but the wheel keeps locking up on him. Can't work it loose, so they made the decision to pull here in the pits. Change a tire. They about got her in right now, but, boy, you can see the frustration in the 530 of Ben Kelly right now.
Man, wet conditions out there like that. There could be a number of things happening in that, but, wow, that's...
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm so I mean, pumped for Stu, obviously looking like Stu and Trevor Bollinger now left to fight it out over this win. But Ben Kelly had this one well in hand. Josh Toth, now we see on screen, has taken over the lead in that XC2 Pro Lights class. These guys are doing the right thing. They're playing it safe. They're going to try and lock down that championship today. And he just absolutely, wow, look at
Man,
this.
Dakota, our camera guy, got to give him some props there. Dakota, way to go, buddy. Getting over there to get the shot, but they've got that new tire on it. Or no, they've got their are they taking it off?
No, they're putting it on. They're putting the wheel back on. Ben Kelly getting a drink, talking with his mom there. Ben Kelly, buddy, I know you can't hear us, but I tell you what, heck of a ride today, man. Not taking anything away from Stu or any of these other guys, but you had this one, buddy. It was a front wheel issue, not sure what caused it, but he's going to go out there. He's going to collect the points that he needs to wrap up this championship in that XC2 Pro Lights class. But what a heartbreaker.
Really? What kind of things would make a front wheel?
A bent rotor would be my guess. Hitting something that causes the rotor to bend, and every time it comes around and hits the brake caliper, it just locks up that right front wheel. But I don't mean to be pessimistic, but Ben Kelly's chances at an overall are gone. That was all it took. There's too many guys in front of him going too fast to have even an outside chance. No disrespect to Ben. He rode an amazing race today. Had this one in hand, was physically within sight of Stu Baylor, and was putting the locks to this one. And wow, folks. Well, there goes my prediction. Ben Kelly was my guy. I'll go ahead and say it right now. I'm not going to try and play a Monday morning quarterback. It's in my phone. I'll show you. It's been in there since Tuesday. I predicted Ben Kelly was going to win this overall. My second pick was Trevor Bollinger. My third was Stu Baylor. So I had the top three at one point, just in the wrong order. But it looks like Kelly now going to be off the overall podium. But nonetheless, a great ride for this young man today as we're watching him on screen. A heartbreaker, man. But, you know, these guys work so hard, and they're not the only ones that worked hard. We saw right there the top mechanics in the world all working to get Ben back out on the track there, and these guys just absolutely do everything that they can for their riders. I think we actually had a chance to catch up with Ben Kelly's mechanic earlier today and hear exactly what he had to say. I believe we had a chance to catch up with Ben Kelly's mechanic earlier today, and we're going to see that here in just a minute.
I'm Michael Hall, Ben Kelly's mechanic for the GNCCs and the National Enduros for the Trails Jester KTM team. When I was younger, I raced motocross and hare scrambles and got picked up by TF Racing Suspension in Florida. Started working with them in between my training, and it eventually turned into full-time mechanicking and not so much racing. Went on to do some enduro cross and national enduro mechanicking, and then now here with the Trail Jester team. Working with Ben's really, really easy. You know, he shows up, he knows exactly what he wants. Everything pretty much stays consistent. He doesn't do a lot of changes. Racing off-road's a little bit different from motocross, a little bit with the bike setup, oversized tank, a little more rugged and defensive setup with guards for the rotors. The bikes are pretty much the same other than that. You just want an efficient, consistent motor that lasts the entire race.
Hard-working man right there. He just earned his rank there as a factory mechanic, that's for sure, having to change that front tire in lickety-split time like that.
I kind of feel bad. I told Michael, oh, look at this. Mike Witkowski has taken over 3rd place in that XC2 Pro Lights class. If we look, we pull up that XC2 Pro Lights class. They're coming through VP Fuels Pro Row. He has taken that, wrestled that spot away from Craig DeLong. And now, we know what we have, obviously Ben Kelly only needing to just complete this lap in a reasonable amount of time to lock up the championship, but there's a feverish pace of a battle going on behind them. Witkowski now taking over the 3rd place and final podium spot away from Craig DeLong, and those are actually Evan Smith has now checked in as well in the 5th place spot in that XC2 Pro Lights class. On screen, Pascal Rocknicker, a former XC2 Pro Lights class rider that switched over just 2 rounds ago. There is Craig DeLong on screen. We're bouncing all over the place. Craig DeLong in the mulch pile, and he is trying to chase back after Mike Witkowski to wrestle back that podium position because he wants to be on the box at the end of the day. And now we're on the field, and there's Mike Witkowski headed the other direction. DeLong right behind him. These guys are not giving up this battle. Oh! Witkowski gets a heck of a kickoff there. Thought we were going to almost see him take a trip to Indonesia.
That's a good one. Well, that's got me, John. I can't follow that up, man.
Hey, you know, sometimes everybody needs a vacation, but one place you never want to go is Indonesia. It's the absolute worst. I mean, the accommodations are terrible. You know, you wake up sore. It's just a bad place to go.
We're talking about bike riding Indonesia, right?
Indonesia. Not Indonesia. Indonesia. You don't want to endo.
All right. I love our new vocabulary. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm gonna whip that one out at the Mini-O's this year, I think.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get plenty of opportunities at the Mini-O's for sure.
Wow. All right, let's check in here. Let's see where we're at. All right, so we're about 20 minutes out from a checker flag, and Johnny, you know, there's a lot goes on. We mentioned there's over 2,000 riders, somewhere in the neighborhood of around 2,400 riders is what I was told earlier today. Right around the start, we'll get the official totals coming up after the race, I'm sure. But, man, I tell you, that means that of the 20-some or 30 professional riders that we've got out there on the racetrack, there's a whole slew of other folks racing, and those guys are amateurs. And obviously, our 10 o'clock race is a pretty big morning as well, a pretty big race in the morning as well. And, of course, we had a chance to catch up with some amateur racing earlier this morning. And here's
our little guys at 8 a.m., you know, these are our youth riders. Again, shout out to Preston Rains, one of the young female riders who's actually stepped up to the YXC1 class, which is equivalent to the youth pro class or the youth premier class. She wrapped up her title in the girls class and stepped up, raced with the boys, doing quite well, holding her own. Here we see some more of the younger riders. That looks like some maybe of our 7 to 11 riders. And these guys out there in the toughest conditions this morning. All that rain last night. It was slick. You know, it was like grease on glass, as they say. And these guys made it look easy. Whoa, we got a little one-footer over the jump there. And, you know, these guys really did battle for the entire 1-hour race this morning. And, you know, it really came out to battle all the way down to the end there. We actually had some YXC2 riders get up into the top positions in that overall.
That's what I was going to say. And Mikey Waynes was joking around about that because we were talking about that likelihood and possibility for the afternoon race with Josh Toth and Ben Kelly. And seeing it in the 8 a.m. race, Mikey made the mention that we may have set the stage for something unprecedented in GNCC racing.
And that rider right there, we may not have Caleb Russell out there, but we do have his brother-in-law, and that is...
Well, I'll tell you what, I know that Max Boland, want to say congratulations to him for taking the championship there earlier in the 8 a.m. class.
Max Hernandez.
Hernandez, that's it.
Yep.
Fernandez, I think.
Fernandez. Max Fernandez. ended up with the overall championship for the year. There was
Yeah.
a little miscommunication with the points and the system, and they did redo it. But right before the afternoon, or the WXC podium and the overall podium for the 10 a.m. race, he was recognized. Young man put in a heck of a race, heck of a season.
Yeah.
And as you said, 200 riders this morning. And if you want to know just how healthy GNCC racing is, look at the youth classes. 100 and some odd, near 200 riders yesterday in the morning for the 140. I can't remember in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, was it 180
It was
then?
one of the bigger ones, yeah.
And then today, 200 riders for the youth bikes. It was absolutely crazy. So when you see that many youth riders, you know the future is solid, and you know that we've got some good talent coming up through, like Max Fernandez.
Yeah, exactly. And on the four-wheel side of things, too. That's the beauty of it. I mean, it's kind of like a farm league. And I think that's one of the reasons we're kind of surprised and we're excited about the addition of Ben Kelly and Josh Toth in this, because they are some of the riders, only a few riders other than some of the international riders, that didn't grow up through the GNCC racing ranks.
Transplants coming all the way from up in that New England region, coming through the J-Days and some Nitra and all that stuff. Those guys, they're building, as they call them up there, Rippas. The Rippas. The New England Rippas come down and 1-2 in the XC2 Pro Lights class for the day. Almost every race this year. In fact, I believe maybe every race this year those guys have been 1-2. We'd have to look to make sure that is fact, but I know those guys have been just battling all year long. And as those guys out there battling in that XC2, that is a equivalent. Well, here on the bike side of things, it is the XC2 Pro Lights class, and then we've got the FMF XC3 Pro-Am class. So we've got a great farm system coming up through, again, starting with the youth, rolling on into the amateurs, and, with 2,400 riders this weekend, Rodney, as you said, maybe 40 professionals today, 20 professionals yesterday. And I got to give a quick shout out. Gatlin Welburn, we were talking about him there for a minute. We kind of got broken into with that feature, but he's out there, one of our amateur riders, one of the top riders in that 4-stroke B lights class. I believe won the championship this year. I think he already had it wrapped up. He's out there. That is the 558 machine. He's almost as good as Caleb Russell with the 557, but not quite. That is his brother-in-law. And one of our many great amateur riders out there. And, they really are the backbone of the sport, Rodney. The amateurs these are the guys that work all week. The families support racing. They come out here. It's not only fun for them, it's a way of life.
It is. And, of course, I believe, as we were talking about that, we watched highlights from this morning's 8 a.m. race. I believe that we also caught up with some of our 10 o'clock racers this morning, if I'm not mistaken. And, wow, again, what was it, 894 we saw. The number of riders out on that starting line this morning was just crazy. And like you said, it wasn't even as big as it's been before, but I know we doubled the size of the start line for this particular race. And Tim Cotter said, we need a bigger start line.
Yeah, we're gonna need a big park. We need an airport to start this race, I think. But again, the majority of those riders are amateurs, and I think we actually had a feature on some of our amateur riders that we were gonna check out the backbone and the heart and soul of GNCC racing.
Well, I rode bikes as a kid when I was younger. My brothers raced motocross, and they were really good. I got to ride a little bit around the house. I grew up on a dairy farm in western New York, so someone had to stay back and do chores. Then in 2002, my nephew wanted to race Wainoa, and my brother couldn't take him, so I started riding Wainoa, and it took the boys every weekend racing. And then in 2005, of course, we rode Unadilla. Then in 2006, my dad passed away, and I added this Ironman race to the portfolio of racing. And the next year, I was racing GNCC all year, and I love it. I have 3 Eastern AMA championships. I have a GNCC title, and I have 2 National Enduro titles. If I had to describe GNCC in one word, I would say awesome. The people you meet, the caliber of competition, and just the pure challenge of what we ride through. Whether it's good weather, bad weather, we go. It's an awesome sport. It's tough, and it's challenging, and I love it. I'm Claudia Daniewicz, and I ride the women's C-Class in GNCC racing.
That's Claudia Daniewicz there, if you don't know who that is.
Yeah, that's, obviously Claudia, she's one of the riders that's a staple in GNCC, and she's got, it's not, for not all these riders out there, it's not necessarily about being the top pro out there battling for an overall championship or battling for the win on the day. It really is more about just completing the courses and having fun. And as she said, the whole family, the family atmosphere, all of the battling that's done out on the track, and then the bench racing afterwards. It's just absolutely a great time for these people. Claudia, I believe, she travels with a group of people. She, again, comes from Western New York, and they've got, a great group. And there's so many stories like that in GNCC racing. They're all here for one reason, and that's camaraderie, the friendship, the family, and your extended family, which is the GNCC racing community. And these amateur riders, again, the backbone of GNCC. And it's cool that this year we've tried to do that Amateur of the Week. And there we see a pro amateur, Jesse Ansley, the leader of that FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. And I nailed it that time. You can't take it away from me. I got the name of the class right.
Good job, Johnny.
And with that, Mic drop, I'm out. See you, Rodney.
Johnny, come back.
Okay.
He come up with a great one-liner. You got he just dropped Mic dropping out of here.
Yep, I'm gone.
2 hours, 45 minutes now into this race. We are looking at, I imagine somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 minutes now before we should be seeing our leaders check in. As soon as our timing and scoring computer comes back up, we'll get you the official estimation of what we'll be looking for. But, man, 34 seconds is what the difference was between first and second place overall. Remember what happened? Ben Kelly was leading that one, and then all of a sudden we see that he comes through kind of half-heartedly through that one section of the track. He stops in the pits, has some issues with that front wheel locking up. They have to change the wheel. Josh Toth takes over the first-place position in the XC2 class, which should hand Stu Baylor back the lead in the overall as well as the XC1 class. The big question right now is between Stu Baylor and Toth, I think, for the overall second and third place positions.
Well, overall first and second now.
Okay.
Before, yes, because Ben Kelly has dropped back. So Toth, it would be Stu Baylor will be leading physically, and Trevor Bollinger there close as well. We know he's possibly making up some time. We're hearing through the grapevine, but Josh Toth will be close to both Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger on corrected time. So we may see him. We almost definitely will see him on the podium unless Josh Strang can put in a heck here in this last lap. Josh Strang or Ricky Russell, who are both up in there. But most likely we will see Josh Toth on that overall podium. But potentially, if he can put in a last lap, and now let's flip the script here. We were talking about the heartbreak that is Ben Kelly. Had this overall, again, Stu Baylor could have put in a phenomenal last lap and pulled it out. But Josh Toth was near his rear wheel. He had made up the full minute. It would have been very tough. If anybody's capable of it, Stu Baylor certainly is. Great sprint speed, amazing determination, and surely he would have given it all he had. No way he was going to make it easy on on Ben Kelly. But Kelly had this one looking to be nearing in hand. Right now, what we have, obviously, with Kelly coming in, having to change that front tire, losing all that time, dropping out of probably, I would definitely say, even out of the top 5 overall. That bumps Josh Toth up to the lead in that XC2 Pro Lights class, but also seeing as he was, unfortunately, our time in scoring is down, but he was very close on corrected time. He was in a podium position, I do believe, as it was. So now it becomes Josh Toth, who is potentially, if he can put together one heck of a last lap, maybe could pull out the first ever overall for an XC2 rider. And what a cherry on top of a great season that he would surely not consider a great season, being that it's looking like if things continue the way they are, he will have to hand over that XC2 Pro Lights title to his good buddy Ben Kelly. But what a way for him to cap off the season if he was able to get his first ever overall from the XC2 class. And next year, he will be in that XC1 Pro class.
And the one thing we don't know is what kind of situation Ben Kelly has found himself in. Did it shake him up? Did it force him into maybe taking him out of his flow and out of his groove? Will he make more mistakes and fall further back? I mean, we're in a situation like this right now that he not only stands obviously losing the overall position that he was in, but if he falls apart too much out there, he could let this championship slip away.
Sure, and I'd be willing to bet you that's a lot of what was being said when he was in the pits and they were changing out that front wheel. There was a lot of, hey, we're gutted for you, we're sorry, this stuff happens, but shake it off, put this last lap together. You knew what the plan was coming in. You need to be top 8. All you got to do is cross that finish line in 8th. You get to celebrate the title, and you surely don't want to let disappointment and frustration throw away a year's worth of hard work. I don't see Ben Kelly being that guy, but man, nerves, frustration can get the best of people. We've seen it, I mean, with some of the greatest riders in our sport, and even motocross. Eli Tomac, how many championships does it seem he's kind of let slip out of his grasp because it's hard for him to control his emotions and his frustrations at times. So adding the drama, it certainly is possible. For Ben Kelly's sake, I hope not, but for Josh Toth's sake, I'm sure that exactly what he's thinking is, man, I'm going to run for all I'm worth, get the win, as we talked about earlier in the race. When you're in the position Josh Toth is in, all you Honda of Trevor Bollinger. Now I forget when he came through there. Was it 49, did I say? 49, 49?
I think so.
Oh, I'm losing track. It's been about 20 seconds, 25 seconds now. And so it's looking like we would need to see Josh Toth before 250.49 if he wants to have a shot at this overall. It's looking like Bollinger is probably out of this one right now for the overall. He's some 40 seconds back now of Stu Baylor.
Well, we're about 5 minutes or less out now from a checker flag and the conclusion of this AMSOIL Ironman GNCC and wrapping up the 2018 championship season as well. So, and history quite possibly could be made here still today as we are waiting to see just exactly what will happen at the checkers. And even though we see what we see here, doesn't mean that's going to translate into what we see at the checker flag either.
Right, absolutely. And there we see our second and third place physically riders on the track. That was the second place ride, the 7:39 of Bollinger, and then the 1:14 of Strang. It's looking like, unless Josh Toth has a couple heroics in this last couple miles, he is now upwards of 25 seconds off of Stu Baylor, even on corrected time. Stu Baylor has done the unthinkable. He was able to scrape the overall victory on this one out from the doldrums of despair, leading the race, doing everything he could, and Ben Kelly was just continuing to chip away at it. Here is now Toth. He is roughly, give or take, oh man, he's about 50 seconds even on corrected time behind Stu Baylor. So about a minute 50 back is what, so which puts him 50 seconds even after that time correction. It is not going to be enough, it looks like, at this point, but Stu Baylor's still got to get to the finish line to get this one done and get what would be his second career GNCC win and his first in 2018.
Wow. And I know that's something that he would really like to be able to cap this season off. You know, you're only as good as your last race, and if you win the Ironman, you got the entire offseason to stake that claim and make those bragging rights. That's for doggone sure, and Stu Baylor will take this and run with it all winter long because that'll be the incentive he needs to be ready to go whenever we roll into round one in early 2019.
Absolutely. You know, the only, like you said, the only thing you can do is what you can do on the day, and he was presented with an opportunity to win this race, and he has made the most of it. He got himself up front early. He stalked Trevor Bollinger early, took the lead, and he's really led this thing. Other than Bollinger passed him in the pits, he's led this thing basically from lap one.
Well, according to this, scanned in at 4:56, I am assuming within about 3 to 4 minutes.
And there is the rider that is on the way to potentially locking up this XC2 Pro Lights title, the 530 of Ben Kelly, a heartbreaker, letting this overall slip away due to a front wheel issue, potentially a bent rotor. We don't have all the details, but we know he had a front wheel that was locking up. But now he has shifted his focus, and he's doing exactly what he needs to do. There we see the pit board. It says, bring it home, bring it in. Michael Hall with the pit board there, letting Ben Kelly know, hey, buddy, you know, we might have let you down, or the conditions might have let you down, but you're still on your way in for this championship. Just do what you got to do and get that thing across the finish line so we can celebrate.
Well, waiting patiently here as we wait for the checker flag to fly. And like we say, it should be coming out here pretty soon. I might have been off on my 5-minute calculation. That might have been more of a 7-minute calculation, and I think I just realized that. But regardless, we're close. And this season is nearly to its end, and the celebrations of whatever this day happens to bring is not far from taking place, and we're still up in the air about a lot of this as to what's taking place. Like
wow,
you said,
look at that wind, Rodney. These trees are bending down to the ground and blocking these riders' view. It's, wow, it's a gusty one.
It's starting to pick up, there's no doubt. And with that, you know, what an amazing race today. What an amazing championship season. We've seen so many exciting things on the ATV side of things, here on the two-wheel side of things. You know, what like total domination by a couple of riders in our pro classes in both 2 and 4 wheels has turned into some very stiff competition and exciting racing. And of course, there's still 2 great champions, but a lot of these folks are really starting to lift their own levels, step up in their own levels, and of course start to challenge, like we've seen Trevor Bollinger do, like we've seen Stu Baylor do on several different occasions. And here we go, folks. I think we are on our way home here in the closing moments now as we check in with our leader, Stu Baylor, in these final few chicanes coming off the moto track into the AMSOIL chicanes. And finally, Stu Baylor is going to put it together here in 2018, and Stu Baylor takes the win at the AMSOIL Ironman GNCC. He loops it out at the finish line. You talk about somebody that is excited to do what he just did, and the crowd goes wild down there. You can hear them cheering, high fives from some of the spectators. Their phones are out there. You'll see that on social media, I'm quite sure. But wow, way to go, Stu Baylor, taking the win here in the XC1 Pro class. Johnny, you didn't get to see that, but he came across that finish line and he just launched that bike. He popped it up on a wheelie and sent it sailing, and yeah, stuck both arms up in the air, and that right there was what Stu Baylor's been looking for all season long.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he's going to have an animated tale to tell of the day, because what a day it was. It was up, it was down, I mean, it was mostly up, but man, he was running like a scared rabbit trying to get away from Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly not able to obviously finish out the ride. That was great, but Stu Baylor he was solid all the way to the finish. He did what he needed to do, and man, what an impressive victory today for the 514 Thiele Energy Racing Machine. Stu Baylor getting the job done, and I believe we're still waiting on our second place rider of Trevor Bollinger, and there he is, the 7th. Whoa! Did Josh Strang make the pass? Yes, Josh Strang has made the pass for the second place position. Wrestles it away from Bollinger. Bollinger not giving up. He's going to try and square him up, but Strang gets the job done.
Strang is certainly becoming a late race threat. We've seen that happen several times so far. The last few races actually been very impressive, and what a push by the now new Papa there.
Look at this. You know what these guys are looking for? They're looking to see, where is Josh Toth?
Yeah.
They want to know if they're going to be on exactly where they're going to be at on the overall podium. They're looking back. That's all he cares about. Where is that XC2 guy at? He's looking. They probably got the clocks running. They got to see. There he is. Toth coming in. I believe he is going to edge out Strang for that second place overall, but we'll see here in just a moment. We don't actually have live timing and scoring, so we're going to try and see what we can figure out as soon as we can.
I'm stuck on lap 5 here with Ben Kelly, Stu Baylor, and Josh Toth as 1, 2, and 3. Trevor Bollinger in 4th. So as soon as we get an official word on that overall second,
I've got it here right now.
I got it right in front of me down here at the finish line. I got Toth finishing in 2nd in front of Strang.
There we go. Josh Toth in the 2nd place overall position. Josh Strang 3rd place overall, 2nd in that XC1 Pro class. Toth now, he'll look back and he knows where's Kelly at. How's this championship looking? Ben Kelly coming in here in about 2 minutes. Actually, a little bit less. He should be coming in here in just under a minute. Now, we should see Kelly coming across the line. Hopefully, we can get a shot of that. But the man of the day in that XC2 Pro Lights class is Josh Toth. 2nd place overall in winning the XC2 Pro Lights class. He's looking back, and he's going to be looking for that 530 machine. This has got to be bittersweet for Josh Toth. He's going to have to give away that XC1 or XC2 Pro Lights title, but he's going to do it with the 2nd place overall. And here he is, folks, the 530 Trail Jesters KTM. Ben Kelly was the man on a mission today, but even after adversity comes through, raises it up, and rides a wheelie, winning the XC2 Pro Lights title.
Wow, I just got goosebumps right there. I don't know, something about Ben Kelly, man, I sensed greatness there, and even after the adversity of having to change the wheel, coming across the line in 2nd place, he does not seem to be disheartened any whatsoever, because like you said, he may have lost this battle, but he won the war, and the war was that XC2 championship, and man, it was truly a war here in 2018.
He's telling the story right now of exactly what happened. He says that wheel was wobbling all over. It was locking up over here. I went over the bars there, and he's got a lot to tell. But the main thing here is he was able to get the job done when it counted. Everything was thrown at him adversity-wise. He was on, as Rodney, as you would say, the ride that dreams are made of.
Exactly.
That was the ride that Ben Kelly had going today. It all came out from underneath him all at once, and he had to buck up and say, all right, let's get on the horse and ride, because we got a championship to win. He did the job. Next year, we'll see that number 1 that Josh Toth is wearing on the back of Ben Kelly's jersey. Josh Toth will be stepping up to the XC1 Pro.
I don't know. Mikey Waynes looks, I don't know if he's cold or angry down there. I think he's pretty cold. They're trying to get things sorted out down there. By the way, that kid you seen there with, or young man you seen there with the remote camera, that is Dakota. He's the one that is running around with that remote camera, and he got the word that things were going on up in the pro pits. Man, he sprinted up there, and that's saying a lot for him.
Absolutely, man. These camera guys,
yeah.
We always talk about how the track crew's so committed. The course workers are so committed. But these RacerTV guys, absolutely the same. They'll throw themselves in harm's way to get the shot. He was high-fiving stuck riders a few laps ago. He was sprinting all the way up to the VP Fuels Pro Row to get the shot of Ben Kelly's front wheel being changed. There we see Auntie Collinen, FMF KTM team manager, talking to the mechanics. They're discussing exactly what happened out there today. Again, Josh Toth, Ben Kelly, what a story. These guys coming here from New England together, traveling to the races together in the beginning, both getting picked up. Toth going over to that, getting his first break with the Pro Yamaha team last year, winning that title in the XC2 Pro Lights class, then getting picked up by factory KTM. Ben Kelly getting some help from Ross and the Trail Jesters guys, getting a little bit of support as well from KTM and saying, hey, we see a future in both of you guys. They rented a house together. Championship combatants renting a house together in North Carolina so they could train with Charlie Mullins, and man, did it pay off. 1 and 2 on the day today in that XC2 Pro Lights class, 1 and 2 for the championship for the year, and both of these guys have been on an overall podium this year. Man, you want to talk about the future, these are the guys.
No doubt. I believe Mikey Waynes may be standing by with our winner here today in Stu Baylor.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah, down here with the overall winner here today, Stu, solid way to finish out 2018.
Yeah, it was good. Had a horrible start, and then got through the pack. I think I got up to third, and Jordan Ashburn and I tangled in the woods and had a massive get-off there the first lap, and I went back to last again. And on the first lap, I could see Toth and those boys were like 6 or 7 seconds behind me, so I was like, all right, it's time to kind of start moving. And then I got up to Grant, and he went down, and then I called up to Trevor, who was leading, and I yelled at him. I was like, boy, the XC2 guys are right there. So, we got together, and I was riding good, riding smooth. Obviously on the new 450, everything, my only testing on that bike was in the desert this week. So, it was good. First time on that bike, I don't think you can beat it. Just gotta take my hat off to all the spectators here, everybody out there pointing lines, and the whole team, Teely Energy. It was a good day.
There you go. Congratulations, Stu Baylor, your winner here today in the overall here at Ironman.
And what a day for Stu Baylor. You want to end the season on a good note, you can't end it any better than a win. And as it sounds like, we only see what we see on camera, but it sure sounds like he faced a lot of adversity himself, and to be able to scrape and dig and still get that win today, what a ride.
That's what I was alluding to a little earlier. We see him, it seems like a lot of times on the racetrack, and sometimes it seems like we see him a lot, but we only see him a lot, and we don't see him a long time when we do see him. So there's a lot of things that transpire. I mean, we'll go through a race, and you'll think that Caleb or Thad or any one of these guys may have had a perfect race, didn't go down, didn't have any issues, any problems whatsoever, and then they tell the story, and they went down 5 or 6 times. They went down hard. They were over the bars. They get stuck here, and they get stuck there. That's just the hard work of these riders, and they make, they don't let it lose their momentum, I guess. That's the dedication that they have. And it sounds like Mikey might be ready with our second place finisher down in.
Well, I've actually got Ben Kelly, who wrapped up that XC2 championship here today. Ben, I've got to tell you, man, you are the overall leader. You come in there, I see these guys, the mechanics taking the front tire off. We all thought, oh, no, what is going on? But the important thing is you wrapped up the championship.
pumped to wrap up the championship. Means so much. It was a crazy year, you know. Josh and I were just battling back and forth the whole year, so it wasn't easy at all. Had to really work for it, but yeah, just super pumped to have the championship, and yeah, means so much. I had a really good race, you know. Josh and I got off to a good start and just pushed from the start. You know, we were both, you know, really pushing from the beginning, and yeah, he was leading for a while and went down, and I was able to get around and put a little gap in, and then yeah, second to last lap, you know, it felt like my front tire was locking up a little, but it was probably just jammed up all the mud. But I was nervous, so played it safe and pulled in and had the boys, you know, rush and do a quick tire change, but they did an awesome job, and yeah, I was able to finish second on the podium still and get the championship, so I'm super pumped.
Ben Kelly, congratulations on the win here today in the XC2 and wrapping up that championship.
Rodney, did you hear that right like I did? Sounds to me like it may have been the nerves that got the best of Ben Kelly. It was packed up with mud. We don't know, I'm sure they did a post-race inspection on that wheel and came back and said, Ben, there's nothing wrong with that wheel. So it might have just been a situation of mud packed. You don't know. It could have been a rock in the caliper. It could have been anything. The rock may have fallen out when they remove the wheel because it'll sit on top of the brake rotor sometimes. But in that situation, as heartbreaking as it is for him to not have to be able to at least battle for that overall, whether or not he would have won it on the last lap, but doing the right thing there. He knew he had the championship on the line, and he could not afford to not score a top 10.
Like I said, better safe than sorry. I believe he scored second in the XC2 Pro class, and
I believe fifth overall. If it should have still been in the top 5 overall.
Right. I believe you're absolutely correct. So even against the challenges that he had today, to be able to pull that off, wow. I mean, I don't know when these boys are thinking about moving up to the front row, but
Josh Toth will be there next year.
Is that right?
He'll be on an XC1 bike next year. Ben Kelly, from what I've heard anyway, it'll be Toth in the XC1 class along with Caleb Russell next year, and Ben Kelly will be riding XC2.
That would make sense since he would be defending his now national championship.
Yep.
So awesome. Wow, just a great way to look at the end of the season and get excited about what's coming up here in the next season in 2019. Folks, well, we still got another interview down there. Our third place rider. Anyway, let's go down to Mikey Wayne's at the finish line. How about that?
Second place in the overall here. I got Josh Toth with this, man. They were just talking about you. What are the plans? I mean, well, first of all, talk about Ironman.
Yeah, today went pretty good. I had some, we started off good. I got a whole shot, I think my first ever. So it's about time, last race, XC2, so I could pull the whole shot.
There you go.
And then, yeah, me and Ben ran up front and charged again, just like last race, and just pushed to the XC1s and just kept the pace going. And, yeah, overall, it's just a really good day.
Well, Josh, kind of wrap up the season for us here. You're coming off the championship last year. You come into this year, and I understand next year you are moving up into the XC1. So what do you have to say, I mean, about this XC2 career you've had?
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. It seems like just yesterday I started doing GNCCs and XC2. So it's flown by, and yeah, this is my third season GNCC and XC2, just closing up. And yeah, already going XC1. So it's seems like it's been a blink of an eye, but it's been awesome.
There you go. All right, there you go. That is Josh Toth right there, taking second in the overall today and wrapping up his XC2 career.
Well, there you go. Congratulations to Josh Toth on a big win in his final XC2 appearance as he made the statement. Johnny made the statement. He's going to XC1 next year. Congratulations to him on a stellar year of racing here in the GNCC Racing Nation again, and looking forward to see what he brings into competition next year, Johnny, along with everything that's going to be taking place. It's been an amazing season. Thank you again for all your hard work and all your efforts, Johnny.
Rodney, I know we're closing out here, but I got one last thing to say. Wow! Ironman 2018, are you kidding me? We were screaming through that whole race.
No doubt about it.
Awesome, awesome.
My friend, we're going to go get our voices. We're going to go to the podium. We're going to celebrate the end of this season, and we hope that you guys at home enjoyed it as much as we did. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, Johnny Gallagher, and, of course, my good buddy Mikey Waynes, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.